Oh wait, fuck! Wasn't I gonna watch the? Wasn't I gonna watch the Cata race today? What time is that shit? It's in 2 hours. Oh shit, dude! I might be able to do both. I mean, I'm definitely gonna watch the race. Definitely gonna. I love doing that. At maximum, where are you putting Jack's pick on your wall? Jack's pick? Oh yeah. You mean these bad boys? I think I have them right here. One sec, I gotta download them. Okay. All right, I have them. So these were the two Jack pauses. Let me know what you guys think. Here, let me add them real quick. Here we go. So here's number one. Okay. And let me get the second one. Wait, which one did I do already? Shit. I hope I'm doing the right one. Did I do two of the same one? No, I didn't. Okay, so here's the two picks. We can either do Crazy Rizzy Jackface, or we could do the like one where he looks like he's having an exorcism. Do you guys like Crazy Rizzy, or do you like the exorcism? I think we're doing the Rizzy one, dude. We're doing the Rizzy one. Get this shit out of here, bro. Rizzy it is. I don't really know where to put it. I could put it right next to Rizzy Tettles. That's kind of good. I like that. Or between James and Dratty, so you can still see the Disney doll that Shaq stole from an Anaheim Disney apartment that we were staying in for BlizzCon, and we didn't know where he was for multiple hours until this picture surfaced of him in Discord, and he was halfway across of Anaheim walking around with this toy. Not making that up. I get a call last raid or last BlizzCon, and someone's like, dude, Shaq is causing problems at the hotel lobby and they're going to ask him to leave. Can you please come get him? So I left wherever I was and I took him to the Instant Dollars house. And I went there and I don't know what he was doing. Apparently he broke a glass. He like dropped his drink and he was just being generally French Canadian. So I took him to the Instant Dollars house and had to take care of it. And the whole time he was like, "Why are you taking me?" I'm just like, "You got in trouble, man." And he didn't understand. That's okay. Or get rid of the one with Scott and the school trip thing watching him. Bro, that was so funny, man. What does that mean? Well, okay, so I've been told that Shakib's personality is very, like, normal in Montreal. Like, it's pretty normal. And he's pretty wild, so I'm saying generally French Canadian. Shit, boys, I forgot about the Cata Race World first. Is it actually in 2 hours or is it 1 hour? So it's at 3 p.m. and then after that's the hockey game. I mean, it's probably only going to take an hour. It's a pretty short raid. It's only eight bosses, right? First 3, and then the like witch lady before Ultraxion, and then Ultraxion is 5, War Master Blackhorn is 6, Spine is 7, Madness is 8, right? Quest to find Tiny Max starts again. I'm in an impossible spot. Honestly, I'm kind of cheating right now. I'm like, well, okay, I'd be kind of giving away. I'm under chat. It's kind of hard. Also, I think I was in the same spot yesterday. You know? Okay, dude, I can totally get done with tanks and healers in 1 hour, right? The question is, who do I talk to? I usually talk to Growl and like a couple other healers for the healer people. Because I don't like to call individual people unless it's Megaset. Because if I don't call Megaset, the entire Mistweaver community gets mad at me. That's pretty fun. Love that. That's fun. Oh, yeah, we usually call Mr. Jack for Priest. But I think, like, Growl hard quit. Also, JB hard quit. W. Megaset's new 11.1 guide came out today. I don't care about that. Hey, Max, just got here. You going to review the other Morgan interview? Oh, actually, probably, yeah. Imagine you call Aliu Ray instead of Megaset. I don't know who that is. Oh, is that fucking Bird Style Girl? Holy fuck. Okay. Yeah, that would be insane. I forgot they had, like, beef. I hope that girl never has to hear me call her Bird Style Girl and then wonder what the fuck that means. Because, like, without context, it doesn't make any sense. But I unfortunately had to watch a video where you could audibly hear her getting fed monster bird style. And now that happened to me. So that's her name now. Stop honking, YouTube chat. It's Thursday. Need a goose on the wall. Goose jaw, Gussie the goose. Dude, when I was in Canada, I saw some geese. I heard that I didn't get real close to them though, because I heard they were like super fucking mean. I heard geese are like crazy mean. Very aggressive. I didn't want to fuck with them. You know? It was me, bro. Bro, that was not you. Okay, guys, I'm not gonna lie. I will fuck up a goose, though. Like, I know geese are aggressive, and I'm not trying to harm wildlife, but if it came to it and a goose was trying to hurt me, I would beat the absolute shit out of that goose. Now, if it had a whole gang of geese, I probably wouldn't fuck with them, but if it was just one goose, that goose is getting fucking murdered, bro. I will murder a goose if he's trying to murder me. A whole gaggle? Yeah, I will not fight a gaggle of geese. But I will absolutely fuck up one goose. I will, like, legit do, like, pro wrestling moves on that thing. Like, I'll have it so fucked up, I'll just slam... I'll, like, jump off a bench and give it the people's elbow. Just to let it know. And I'm gonna let it live, too, just so it goes back and tells all the other geese not to fuck with me. Dude, what am I talking about right now? I'm going live. What am I fucking talking about? Hey. Are you hyped for hockey tonight? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. You know what it is. I have a playoff game later tonight. I don't know if I'll be able to watch the whole game. Are you watching the Race World first in Cata? Okay. My title, here we go. So, 11.1 community tier list tank / healer. Then Cata Race to World first. All right, now it's, even though no one reads titles anyway, bro, you can make your title anything. I remember, was it when I was playing D4? Like, my title was something and not, was it D4 Elder? Like, I was playing a different game than WoW, and my title explicitly said what I was doing, and I had a text. Wait, maybe the text thing on my screen still says the same thing. What does my text say? We'll do anything for Lithrune. This is what it was, bro. I needed a Lithrune in Diablo 4. My title was I need Lithrunes, and people would just come into the chat and be like, are you looking for, like looking for anyone for Lithrunes or something like that? Like, bro, that's my whole shit right now. There's no way. People don't read chats or screens. Wait, can you still do that bit where you can set your name in Twitch to, like, not show that you're listening or that you're watching? Is that possible, or did they remove that? Max, I hope you had a good 24th birthday. Thank you. I'm so young. Wait, no, people are still doing it. Dude, I think that's one of my favorite stupid, like, dad joke bits. Is like intentionally setting your name to like listening without audio and then asking a question that you would need to hear the answer to, or just being like having it on listening only so you can't see and it's just like, show me that again. I don't know why. I think it's dumb as fuck. Someone did that unironically a couple years ago and I just thought it was so funny. Max says people don't read titles, but then complains when we ask when Mythic is starting when his title says going into Mythic totally real. Okay, but going into Mythic totally real is obviously not real. Like, if I said going into Mythic and then nothing else, then I would be baiting you. But saying going into Mythic, in parentheses, definitely not lying, is like, come on, man. Like, come on. Although, I mean, a lot of people don't get sarcasm. And also, I think with the race, like, I think if you have ever watched my stream before and you were to see that title, you would definitely know I'm kidding, because I'm weird. But, like, a lot of people who are watching the race don't watch my stream all the time, so it is understandable that they're confused. Oh, by the way, it's been 1 tier since we've had this, but I can't wait. Like, at least when there's a heroic week, like, people know there's going to be heroic. And when Mythic's out, you know that you're mostly going to just be in Mythic. But last raid we had a heroic week, so it's going to be for the first time since Amir Drasil, you're just going to see 3 days of nonstop complaining by all the casual Race World First viewers, just complaining why we're not in Mythic when it's out. And then the other one, too. This happens every time, and it's so fucking funny. Like, in Amir Drasil was the last time it happened, where we're obviously still doing our splits, but then, like, some guild who has less characters that's really good, like Instant Dollars, will go in and kill the first, like, 5 or 6 bosses or something. And then the chat is just filled with people that are like, are you guys serious? You might want to go on the raid. Instant Dollars is going to kill it. Instant Dollars is going to clear the whole raid before you can go in. Like, this, it's like every message. I understand you'd have to do it. It's just not fun to watch. Yeah, dude, fucking complain to Blizzard, man. It's not our fault. Not having a heroic week turbo tanks the viewership for the race. It's very bad for the race. But they do make this game for the 0.001% elitists, though. Trust me. Trust me, I've complained many times. Oh, yeah, you're a fucking professional. Instant dollars kind of popped off during Emergisil. Instant dollars always pops off. They're sick. How did instant dollars do last year? I mean, okay, so instant dollars beat every guild in the world that wasn't raiding like all day, every day. They were the #1 guild in the world that wasn't raiding permanently until the raid's over. That's sick. That's like a really good result, right? They rated more than Fat Shark, yes? I don't know. It's a good question, actually. So Fat Shark, yes, famously was like they raid 7. I think they raided 6 days a week for a while, and like 5 hours a night, and then they added a 7th day. I think like many years ago. I want to say, don't quote me on this, but like I think Fat Shark, yes, and Instant Dollars are both. We raid every night until the raid dies, but it's just not all day every day. It's at night, so it's like 5 hours after work, basically. How does it feel to see your guild rank 1 on this list? Good. It feels... I like it. I like that a lot. It's better than the other numbers, to me. Matt, I have a warlock in my guild who just sends Blizzard tickets on the daily on how to improve the class. It's questionable if they are good suggestions at best. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff where they probably just, like, read through it and not, They probably don't take that too seriously. Honestly, that would be a brutal schedule, too. Work and then 5 hours of raid every night for 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, it is. It is brutal. I mean, I used to do that. So Liquid, or I guess we were... Before we were Liquid or Complexity Limit, we were just Limit. And those were our hours. We were like the Instant Dollars before we were us. We were like the #1 guild in the world that wasn't day raiding, and we would just raid... Was I living Eastern time at the time? We raided 5 hours a night, starting at like 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And then we would go for 5 hours. That was our... We used to be like... It was like 5 days, and then it went to 7. 5 days, 1 raid, and then 7 after that. And then we added a day raid for the first day of every raid. So we would day raid Tuesday, and then we added a Wednesday. So we would day raid 2 days. And then this was right before Old Year, and we're like, guys, we're day raiding 2 days. But then right after that's Thursday and Friday. If we can day raid Thursday and Friday, then it's the weekend. And hey, let's just day raid Tuesday through Sunday, through the weekend, go back to work on Monday, and just see how well we do. And that's exactly how we started going for the Race to World First in Old Year. It was literally a complete spur of the moment, like, fuck it, let's just do it kind of thing. I actually think the creation of Limit was really interesting because it was a bunch of former Blood Legion members, and they had gone for Race to World First a lot before. So, like, they didn't need that validation. They didn't need that. They didn't have that hunger for it. And really, the story of Limit at the beginning was basically a bunch of Blood Legion people and then people from a bunch of other different guilds. And everyone from the other guilds wanted to go for World First because the guild was sick. And all the Blood Legion people were like, guys, you don't get it. This is the glory, like, times. Like, we're raiding... We're sick and we're raiding, like, only 5 hours a night. This is amazing. And we're all like, nah, dude, we want to go for it. So the story of Limit basically was like all the really passionate, ambitious people were like slowly phasing out the old dogs that had done it before because we just wanted to do it so bad. Is anyone from BL still around? No. So like the people who initially joined from Blood Legion, oh man, let me try to rip this top of my head. Truefire, Xeris, Diggs, Deviriate initially joined. Fuck me, dude. I'm gonna miss Soy and Snarf. Zyronic was a thing. Was a trial in Blood Legion, the like tier before they died. I think there might be one or two more. I'm gonna feel so bad about this. Can I look at like a boss kill maybe, and then I'll see. Shit, Blood Legion. So our first like US first was Archimond. Limit Archimond. So this is like right after we made the... Okay, so from... Oh, I think Errold joined Blood Legion for 1 tier before he was in this guild. But he raided for a long time with me in Duality. Errold was a fucking beast, bro. That guy is as good as any mage that's ever played this game. That dude, totally fucking insane player. Soy and Snarf were there. I already said that though. Who are the other people from No, I think I got it right. I think I got right all the people who were from were from Blood Legion. Nice. Oh man, remember Refute, bro? Refute is so sad. Refute was an absolutely insane Resto Druid, man. Like, just the best Resto Druid. And he Resto Druid was like unplayably undertuned for an entire expansion, so he just quit. Which totally makes sense. He was putting in all this effort for no reason, just to sit, because Resto Druid is bad. And then he was so good though. Like, really good HPS healer. Like, but like, just an example of being a one trick is fine. Like, being that good at one thing is really important. Bro, you rated that guy now? You play with Refute now? Oh, he's a goat, dude. He's so... I mean, he's probably lost his passion for the game a bit. Like, you're probably not playing with the same player I played with. And I say this not flaming him. I have no idea how good he is right now. But, like, literally every time I've seen a GOAT in this game come back later and try to play, like, less hardcore, they're always a shell of their former self. Like, you literally can't... You can't be that person without the same level of passion and drive. It's impossible. You can't do it. So... Especially, I think another part of it, too, is, like, if you quit for years and then come back, you're just... everyone in the game relatively gets better, and you were not getting better during that time because you weren't playing, so you'll always be a little step behind when you come back. But, yeah, he was sick, dude. Great guy, too. If you could play during the race without it affecting your raid leading performance, would you do it? Or do you enjoy raid leading more than playing it? Oh, I would definitely do that, but that's also, like, what you just said is impossible. Like, being the best raid leader you can possibly be and being the best player you can possibly be, it's literally impossible. Like if someone who's not raid leading who's just as good as you could always play better, and you could always raid lead better by not worrying about playing the game. That's why the 21st Raider thing exists. It's just way too involved. That's, yeah, like, are you saying, like, if you had a superpower? Like, if I had a superpower and I had unlimited cognitive performance, and I could be as good of a raid leader as I possibly can while also being as good at, I mean, sure, I guess, but, like, we're asking, like, would you, if you could fly, would you fly? Like, fuck it, you know. Yeah, well, that sounds great. And how is it raiding with Gromnak? I mean, I understood Grom. Like, Grom did a lot of damage, and you kind of just had to police him a little bit. I don't know. It's actually low-key. I'm kind of like, thinking about Grom makes me sad, because I think Grom is, like, deep down, you know, I, like, get him. I don't think he's a terrible guy, you know, but, like, I mean, I even tried to get him off it a couple years ago, but, like, seeing some of the shitty types now is pretty tough, and it's really sad to see. Mostly because I think a lot of that behavior from... This is kind of, don't read too much into this, but, like, I would, like, watch his stream a little bit, and the people who were watching his stream didn't even seem like they really liked him. They were just, like... They just wanted him to do crazy things so they could laugh at him. And then I think he let those people, like, hard influence his personality. And then now he says and types some absolutely brutal shit. And I'd like to think that, like, that's not really him, and maybe he Kind of led down the wrong path a little bit, but yeah. He's still got the goated clip. Yeah, he has tons of funny clips. You know, we've all seen the Grom clips. What he did last year when he hate watched his guild kill a boss, that was legendary. But yeah, yeah, you know, not good. Why do you choose Fired Up's PV to raid lead from? He's cool and I like him. All right, here we go. Let's do the Raider IO interview, which we saw a preview of yesterday. We'll do this, and then we're gonna do a tank and healer tier list. Okay, and then we're gonna watch the Cat Erased World first, and then I'm gonna leave. This isn't the Aussie interview, right? No, we watched that yesterday. That was an experience, though. Okay, Raider IO interviewed Morgan Day and associate encounter designer Katrina. How do you pronounce that last name? Yepes? Yepes? I'm not trying, is not going to help me probably, but developer interview the future of Mythic Plus. Oh, what a thing. Oh, please tell me we got some timestamps here. Let's get some timestamps going. Intro. Key factors in updating legacy dungeons in Mythic. How do you measure if Mythic Plus season is successful? Which of the upcoming changes are you most hopeful has a big impact? Okay, that's not... balancing for the Mythic Plus meta while not impacting Raider PvP. That's a great question. What dungeons are you most excited for? That doesn't matter. What is the process of designing a raid? Maybe that's interesting. Maybe it's a little... Okay, favorite theme to design encounters for? That doesn't matter. Designing mechanics that are challenging but not too frustrating. That's kind of interesting, but we already heard him answer that in another interview. And how and when to apply secret Mythic phases. Yeah, so the lore behind this is there's like almost definitely a Mythic phase for this upcoming boss. Gallywix. It's just like not a secret thing. But maybe we'll get some interesting insight for that. Okay. We will listen to this. I'm going to go grab some food real quick. And then we'll do it. W. Lady has never used a hula hoop. All right, get out of here forever. Absolutely no weird behavior towards any of the people interviewing or being interviewed on this channel will be tolerated. The shit's weird. Or post a pic of yourself first. Bet it's not any better. What's happening? Max, make sure you grab the popcorn for this chat fight. Wait, what's happening? I'm just gonna pick out some random comment. Believe it or not, disagreeing with someone can happen without antagonizing one another. Very low IQ detected. It's okay, little guy. Oh my god. Why are you guys mad? Why do you be mad? I just saw someone like body shaming a person whose content we're about to consume. And I just think that's fucking weird, you know? Like, I just think in general, if your bit is like you see someone that like doesn't fit whatever normal like fitness standards you or Instagram or whatever has taught you, and your first thought is like, I'm gonna call this person fat, then like maybe there's some shit going on there, you know, like in your life. You gotta figure out. It's weird. That's all. It's just extremely strange. And I banned you on purpose, and I'll do it again.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, I just want to say before we get started, all
right, turning this shit up.
Morgan, Katrina, thank you so much for making time to chat with us today. We're always so
It is weird regardless of your political views. What does this have to do with being political? It has literally nothing to do with that.
To be able to speak with you guys, get a sense of what's going on behind the scenes, bring some of that, you know, awesome development information to the community.
What are you talking
about? Morgan, it's really great to see you again. Katrina, haven't had the pleasure, but excellent to meet you.
Katrina, I'm not aware of her either.
Before we get started, can you guys take just a couple minutes to introduce yourselves, let everyone know what it is you do for World of Warcraft. Katrina, we can start with you, maybe.
Yeah, of course. So hi, I'm Katrina Yepes. I'm an associate encounter designer. So that means I'm responsible for creatures in the game and their abilities. So designing towards those. And then Morgan, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, my name is Morgan Day. I am one of the associate game directors on World of Warcraft.
I love how animated he is when he talks.
Mostly responsible for The War Within
Morgan's
and
Jack.
other future projects. But
yeah, you know, I used to think he like fucking put his. I think he used to do this.
Year's 20.
You know what I'm saying? He used to like fucking like instead of just sitting back in his chair normal, he's like fucking sitting up like fucking. Like, yeah, what's it? I'm just like waving my arms around, but making my shoulders look huge. But I think his shoulders are just naturally fucking massive. Like.
Years, so
he's just got big old boulder shoulders.
A hot minute, as it were. So very excited to be talking about.
He actually does have swimmer shoulders. He does look like a swimmer. I bet he swims. Because he has big shoulders, but his shoulders are so wide. They're like my shoulders end here, right? My shoulder like goes to here. His are like a solid like 2 inches wider, which is kind of insane. I don't know if is that like just an anatomy thing? Like that's just like the way your body turns out, but I feel like it could be influenced by swimming.
Kind of all about the mean streets of Undermine and all the cool goblin stuff coming.
We get the glaze, W glaze.
On 20 years, that's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
That's awesome. What is the 20 year? Do you get the sword at 20?
It's a crown. It's
epic. You get a crown, and you're not wearing it. I'm disappointed.
Oh, and you should not wear it. It would stab you. It's very much a decorational crown.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. All right, we won't make you wear the crown. I guess for everyone else out there, and Katrina, since we haven't met, I'm Hula Hoops. I'm the general manager here at Radar.io, and you know, longtime WoW player. Been playing since vanilla, so personally super excited for Undermined. The goblins, the story behind it, it looks really, really neat. The raid testing, the raid looks fantastic. So whatever hand you both had in that, kudos.
Max talks about body shaming and bans a chatter, and then directly talks about Morgan's body, which could be interpreted as body shaming. I responded to someone else's thing. Insane if you can't see the difference between those two things. One of them is with the clear intention of like that person is going to feel very bad about this. I mean, I don't even need to explain it, right? Like.
I guess
I'm literally body hyping. I'm like, this guy, shout out to this guy. He looks great.
Just go ahead.
How could that ever be a bad thing? You're not saying anything bad about anybody.
Get started. I've got a handful of questions regarding Mythic Plus and some regarding Raid. So I'm just going to hop right to it if that's all right.
I wish I had those
you.
shoulders,
yes,
man.
Okay, so I'll start with Mythic Plus Dungeons, because as you know, Radar.io, that's kind of our, that's what we do, it's our bread and butter.
How did this chat get so many weirdos? It's not this chat, it's just like the current internet landscape. There's a lot of like adjacent stuff to what we're talking about right now going on, so they feel very empowered.
It's your jam, yeah.
Yes, something that has become a pretty standard part of
It's
the
L stuff.
Mythic
This is
Plus
a W
ecosystem
interview.
is bringing back old or legacy dungeons into the dungeon pool each season.
All right, what's the question?
Making sure we're not doing the same 8 dungeons for an entire expansion, keeping things fresh and exciting. When updating these legacy dungeons, what are the key factors that influence the decision to rework an encounter, such as the upcoming changes we're seeing to Tussle Tonks in Mechagon, or removing the mind control tech on the squirrels?
They also did some other interesting... Like, when they first started bringing back dungeons, the answer to this question was obvious. It was when something was outdated, right? Like, do you remember Temple of the Jade Serpent, the old Wise Mari fight, like the one from Mop? Like, that is a fight you could not have brought back. So, like, they had to rework it, right? So, like, I think hearing exactly what... And this would be a great question for her, maybe, because it sounds like this is right up her alley. I know Morgan definitely would not work super closely on stuff like that. Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll answer part of the question that you didn't ask, which is also there's a whole element of what is the dungeon pool, right? Like how do we pick those dungeons? And a key part of that for us is one is thematics, right? Like it's not a coincidence that we're going to undermine where there's tons of goblins, and we're also bringing back the Motherlode, which is a BFA dungeon or Battle for Azeroth dungeon in the season. So very much we looked at thematics, but we also looked at things like we always like to make sure we have a dungeon pool that can highlight different strengths and weaknesses of our classes. So, a dungeon like Theater of Pain was very focused on like big, scary lieutenant creatures. There wasn't as many like massive pulls in that dungeon, and that was something that we felt our dungeon pool was lacking. So we wanted to bring that dungeon in.
Yeah, because like when he was saying the theme thing, like Motherlode totally makes sense. The workshop totally makes sense. But like Theater of Pain doesn't make sense. So he's saying Theater of Pain wasn't a theme pick. They don't all have to be theme picks. It was our dungeons are too similar. I wonder how much players actually care about that, because Theater of Pain is I think it, to his point, is a very unique dungeon, like it just simply has less big pulls and more mini bosses, and it's a lot of bosses in a short amount of time, And that is really different from a normal dungeon. I wonder if players actually care about that variety, though. It's kind of hard to tell. You don't really know what you have with variety until it's gone, right? Like kind of like how affixes have played out. Like it wasn't necessarily good. No one's arguing that like it would be nice to have sanguine or bolstering or something, but like there was also something to it just being slightly different every week, So I don't know. How you do that is super interesting. Also, Theater of Pain wasn't super liked, but I wonder how much Blizzard even like knows that when they bring things back. How much, like, right now, I think everyone in this chat and me, if you were to just say a dungeon, you'd have a pretty good idea as to whether it was like a well-liked dungeon at the time or not, because we're in this shit, right? But like Blizzard probably hears so much feedback from so many different players that a dungeon you might think is great, they might not actually have that feedback because it's like high level players think it's great or something. Like Sanguine Depths is probably the best example of this. Like everyone thought Sanguine Depths was bad until Dorky and Growl both said it was one of their favorite dungeons ever, and then chat immediately after that point was like, you know what, you're right, Sanguine Depths is good because these two people said it was good. But like people would have never had that opinion otherwise.
And when it comes to your specific question about how do we decide to change a mechanic or not, ultimately it's about presenting new challenges and injecting novelty, right? Like some players could have seen these dungeons before, so we want to make sure that it still feels fresh and novel when returning for a season. So often we'll just,
I feel like she should have a good answer to this,
to inject some novelty,
because maybe she is a designer who literally reworked an old fight
to smooth over some rough edges of some of the past encounters. Like for instance, I was just talking about Theater of Pain, Kultharak, or the Lich, because I'm bad at proper names. Previously that boss hinged a lot on like magic dispels, which put a lot of pressure on the healer, and we wanted to make some changes to kind of spread that challenge out across the full group. So more of a like group challenge versus specifically something that you lean on the healer for. But
they need to do that in like every dungeon pool. Like that's happened in a couple of seasons recently where the healer meta is almost determined by whether you have a curse dispel or not, or you have the ability to deal with the annoying dispels. Like there's definitely a line where you want to make your class feel good for having a poison or a curse dispel or something like that in a specific dungeon. But like if it becomes you can't do this dungeon without one, then that's like a problem, right? But I just don't know how you could ever make that without infinite scaling. Like, how do you make a mechanic that makes you feel good for having a poison dispel or a curse dispel, but it doesn't feel required? Your answer would be, oh, it would just have to not do that much damage. Well, if it doesn't do that much damage, then it wouldn't really be required because it doesn't really matter, right? But with infinite scaling, something will always do enough damage to kill you at some point. You know, on a 10, it could be an annoying dot that you can heal through, but on a 17, it's like if you don't get rid of it, you're just dead. I don't know. I actually don't know, or if there's been any good examples of them being able to do this properly to where you actually you're like, you have this reaction. Oh, we're doing this dungeon. Oh, we have this healer. That's good. That'll be really good for this thing. But it's not like, oh, we don't have this healer. We can't pull the dungeon. You know? I mean, it kind of, with infinite scaling, it kind of just has to not do damage to you. It has to be annoying in a different way. Like, it has to be a slow. And, like, you can outplay with the slow, but, like, removing the slow is nice kind of thing.
Also, at the same time, we feel like kept the core fantasy of the boss intact. So that was just kind of a twist on an existing, or on a past approach. Tussle Tonks, I think you mentioned that one, which is a Mechagon. You know, that encounter really focused on positioning the bosses at specific points in time.
Yeah.
And we wanted to just kind of update that to, again, keep those challenges, but really the focus was on quality of life, like executing that mechanic a bit more consistent. So that was very much a focus with something like that, where we want to keep the spirit of it, but really just look at the execution and ultimately kind of the fairness of it, right? When you feel like, oh, that's, you know, that wasn't supposed to happen. It feels unfair to the player. We want to look at moments like that so it can feel more tactical. And then I think you mentioned the squirrels.
The squirrels, yeah, the mind control on the squirrels.
Can you not do that anymore?
One, right? Like the MC tech is super fun. Like we love when players have opportunities, like I said, to use their tools and create advantages using those tools. But you know, there's a band that we feel like, all right, this is where this feels like a cool advantage, or I'm getting to take it, or I'm getting to, you know, kind of feel like you're cheating. But sometimes that can really skew the approach, and also sometimes make it feel like, hey, this isn't doable without X, and that feels like it becomes out of band. So we take a look at that. I mean, ultimately, that was one where we could have just tuned it to be more based on the player power, where that one was placed on.
Was it Ian and Morgan talked a lot about pre-Cata dungeons being super outdated, and it would take a lot to bring them up with modern dungeon design? They said that about Cata. So before they brought back Vortex Pinnacle, they had never brought back a Cata dungeon yet. And for some reason, they like, it was an interview legit like a couple of months before the dungeons were announced. They're like, yeah, we don't want to bring any back from Cata because the art's old. And then they just brought back a Cata dungeon next season. But like that problem is obviously increasingly more difficult the farther back you go.
Was more on the dungeon's power, right? So that,
you know what dungeon I have nostalgia for, because I was just a little baby playing the game and I thought it was kind of interesting. The Lich King dungeon, the one that released with ICC, where you like the Lich King is chasing you and you have to leave. Like, I don't think, going back, I don't think that was a good dungeon, but I really liked it because it was cool. Yeah, Halls of Reflection, you know? Like if I were to do it now, if it was in the dungeon pool, I'd be like, what the fuck is this garbage? But at the time, you're just a kid, and you're like, everything is cool, and the Lich King is very scary, and he's running after me.
Damage was scaling with Keystone level, no matter what your item level was. So an approach there would have maybe just been, make it scale with the player's power level instead of the dungeon's power level, and that could have resolved that problem. And actually, an example where we did do that is in Prior the Sacred Flame. You know, if you have a paladin or a priest, you get a cool buff, and that buff was proccing damage. That damage was scaling with Keystone level. We actually made that, we changed that to only scale with the priest or paladin, so that it doesn't have as much infinite scalability. So it feels like a cool bonus, but, you know, isn't going to be the difference between you know, potentially a Keystone level or more.
I think I would agree with that. I mean, so I think stuff like that is kind of cool. I know there's like different opinions on this, but I personally think any dungeon where like some gimmick is doing a bunch of the mob count on its own is super lame. So, like Toldagor, 80% of the trash is done with the cannon. Or that fire dungeon, was it in season 1? The one where you snapped, or was it last? Was it in Dragonflight where you snapped the chains and like the chains just killed all the mobs? You know? Like that shit's trash. I think that's so bad. Yeah, Neltharis, right? Junkyard, same thing. Like, the thing is with Junkyard, at least you felt like you were still doing some of the damage because you're like pressing buttons and stuff. It's like different than a cannon or like a thing doing it. But even Junkyard, I don't know. I just think all that stuff, it's like cool as a niche. It's just always way more powerful than it should be. Or really the ones that we remember are.
Of player power. So, long-winded answer. Hopefully that answered your question.
Fantastic.
Dude, so true. I think Utgard Keep would be like top 3 dungeon from Kata through Wrath to bring back.
Answer. It's really interesting to get some insight into what dungeons to bring in which season. I really like the fact that you consider the thematic elements. So that's very cool. And as someone who healed all through Shadowlands, thank you for the theater paint change.
All right, what's the next thing? How do you measure a Mythic Plus season to success? We'll probably skip that. What upcoming changes are you most hopeful for a big impact? We'll hear the beginning of this, but we'll probably skip this too.
Changes and iterations on the Mythic Plus system announced already for Season 2, intending to address some of the pain points that were identified by the community. And as you mentioned, we want people who want to do Mythic Plus to enjoy doing Mythic Plus. Which of the changes coming up in Season 2 are you the most hopeful will have the biggest impact, and why?
There are so many.
Yeah, there are.
I will break this question down into parts because I feel like that was how we kind of broke down the problem spaces as well.
Let Katrina talk.
So ultimately, the goal is to.
Dude, I feel like a chatter now, where they're always typing that shit
into the right difficulty sooner, right? Like I just mentioned, the progression of how the season plays out for a player. Let's just focus on players who like Mythic Plus. Is something where we feel like we had a lot of work to do and could do.
I feel like we're not. We're... Sorry, someone's coming home. Dogs are going crazy.
Going into War Within Season 1,
Wait, we
had that kind of keystone level squish.
Yeah, I don't want to hear this. Any plans on dealing with non-eligible buffs in Mythic Plus? Oh, it's a very short question. I'll hear the answer, though. People seem to care about this. I don't give a fuck, but...
Some feedback from the high key community, especially, so the people pushing those leaderboards, suggest that using pre-key buffs, such as those gained from follower dungeons, have been granting unintended advantages. Do you have any plans to change how non-group eligible buffs are handled in Mythic Plus for Season 2?
Yes. I mean, very simply, that's a bug that we're looking to resolve with Season 2. So that is actively being looked into.
But are they going to let the Season 1 leaderboard and titles and stuff be... Like, are they going to let that go? Because that's kind of insane. That's insane, if that's true.
2 right now, I believe, and will be fixed before Season 2 goes up.
Fantastic. That's the best answer we could hope for, honestly. Love it. So, going back to, I guess, Season 1, brief question about that. So, we saw pretty narrow meta in Season 1, more so than past seasons where that top composition took up a massive kind of part of the high keys especially. Now, obviously, that's something you guys look at. You're seeing this. You need to deal with it. How do you reconcile that without negatively impacting other aspects of the endgame like raid or PvP?
Great question.
I think 2 things there, and this goes back to what we were just discussing. I think if you ask... those different audiences that we were just discussing. Right. If you ask someone who's pushing for titles, they're going to have a different answer about how narrow they feel the meta is, and it will frankly be much more narrow for that audience. But I think when you look at people who are, again,
there is like people who just follow what the top teams are doing all the way through the key levels, but it is objectively more tight there. Like I remember this being one season because I did a bunch of Pug 15s. So I was doing, this was before they did the key level squishes. I did 25s. And it was like always the same comp, like 25 plus. And then if you did 20s or 15s, they would just invite, you would see literally every class in the game. So while the narrative that like, yes, but people just copy what the top teams do is true. Yes, but that doesn't mean that it's still significantly easier to get into lower level keys as any class than it is higher ones.
Going for like Keystone Hero, that the meta, and we have a lot of data that shows the success rates in particular are something we look a lot at, like whether what the community feels is correct in terms of early on it was, well, you have to have a resto
Dude, Katrina
shaman.
has Katrina said a
later in
word.
the season has become dispriest. But if you look at the groups that are forming,
maybe
that
we skipped the part where she did
rate versus the groups that do, again in that Keystone Hero range, it's really quite healthy. We've talked.
It's also not entirely her fault because, you know, I mean, as an interviewer too, you kind of need to leverage questions that will involve both people, right? Not even necessarily the questions you want to ask. But I mean, like, key factors in updating legacy dungeons in Mythic, like, Katrina could have been really impactful here because maybe she's done that. I don't see her talking here, though. I'm trying to, like, scroll through and see if I can... No, she hasn't talked yet.
A lot about actually, like, how can we, like, adjust that perception? Because, frankly, between you and I...
He's not letting her speak. It's not about not letting her speak. Like, okay, is it possible that Morgan is just, like, totally steamrolling her and just, like, answering every question? I guess. But I think what's more likely is those two talked before this interview. They both work at the same place. And they were probably like, okay, I'll cover things that are close to this. You cover things that are close to this. Like, if Morgan is more equipped... Wow, this pause face is insane. But if he's more equipped to answer the question, then, like, he should answer it, right? He's also much higher in the company than she is. So, like, that makes sense. But also, like, let's just say there are actually a bunch of questions for her later on in the interview. They probably should have, like, mixed them in early so she felt involved, though.
You know, that person who might be chasing the meta, who's playing, you know, Enhancement Shaman, and maybe has only been playing that Shaman for, like, 2 weeks, right? Versus that Shadow Priest who's been playing their class or their spec for years. They are probably going to be more effective because they're so familiar with their class.
Yeah, but that's what the score is for.
Just clutch dispels and stuff, right? So there's something interesting.
The thing is, though, is if you're doing a 10 and you see two people with, like, the same score, there's no way to tell if they are the person who's made that spec for years or if they just swapped to it, unless you want to, like, look up their Raider IO, which is, I mean, that's like just almost true. No one does
so
that.
There's interesting
so you just don't
data
know
points there that aren't really present or able to be seen by the community that we keep a close eye on. And in terms of making changes to the specs and not affecting other elements of the game, yeah, I mean, class balance is an art, and it is ever changing and ongoing. And I always, you know, we were just talking about Theater of Pain. I think it's so interesting.
Max, the Mythic Plus title for X percentage of each class would fix a lot. I think it would probably have to be a separate title, but I actually do really like that idea. Because I think if you just care about just doing the top keys, and you are someone who's willing to multi-class and play a better class and learn something new to, like, compete for the higher titles, there should be a title for just whatever that is in Mythic Plus, right? But, like, I also think, like, a secondary title... And it can even be... So they did this in Mist of Pandaria, where I think the title is Mistwalker now, but if you had the current rank 1 time on any challenge mode, you had a completely unique title that only you and the other 4 people who have that rank 1 time on your server could even equip, and it was for that specific thing. But if you did that for, like, you know, Warlock was, like, you know, something of the Harvester or whatever... And, like, you knew if you saw someone with that title, that meant that they were the top percentage of, like, Mythic Plus for Warlock specifically for that last season. And that's a way you could do that. I would love that being a thing.
And to me, when you look at how does content impact, you know, community perception about balance, where I've used this example a bunch, but it's totally valid for both Mythic Plus.
Dude, W Twitch chat here. Nah, fuck multi-classers. Pick your lane and complain when it's not good.
And,
so true.
Raids is we could make 0 changes to classes going into one season to the next, and just because of the landscape of the content, the meta could shift drastically.
He's exactly right. I feel like so many people don't know that. Like, you could take the exact same balance, like, to the decimal point. Like, every class is exactly as good as the same thing. 0 changes from one raid to a next, or one raid to the next. and you would have potentially a completely different, the classes you would stack would be different, because what the fights require is equally, if not more important than what the classes are able to do. Mythic Plus is kind of true, except much less, because like Mythic Plus is so dominated by damage. But even in some seasons, like you remember how good Shadow Priests were for season 2? Like Mass Dispel was super broken for every dungeon. You felt like you needed it. They had old, I forget what it's called, but it's like the priest version of Shroud where you can Mind Soothe. Like Mind Soothe was like literally required for the dungeons. But then there were some people were saying like, oh, they shouldn't nerf Shadow Priest in season 2 of Dragonflight because they're not actually that good. It's just that these dungeons, for whatever reason, just need everything that priest utility does for some reason. And it may not be that next season, or it wasn't that last season. And they were right. Right? They nerfed a lot of their utility, and then like the season, if they were to just transport current priest into the next season, you wouldn't have needed master spells at all. Basically, you wouldn't have needed like soothe. Soothe was unusually good in that season specifically. So like, kind of true Mythic Plus, but certainly less true.
Right, like different classes have different strengths and weaknesses. Even just season 1, it was so interesting to me to see. You know, we were joking about Resto
What is it?
Shaman.
Meta can shift, but if Fury Warriors are very good because of Rashanan, Avanax, and Queen Ad's timings, then they get 4 nerfs. Yeah, but that's exactly what happened to Priest and Mythic Plus, though, right? Like, Priests were a good spec that their specific timings were way too good for that season, and they got nerfed because of it. Dude, there used to be classes that got nerfed because of power infusion. Were any of you guys ever playing a class that scaled unusually well with power infusion, and then they nerfed your class because it was good enough to get PI'd? And then after you got nerfed, you were no longer the best PI target. So not only did you get nerfed by like 5% or whatever, but like you felt like you got nerfed by 10% because you also lost that buff. And your class was less fun to play because you didn't have a haste buff anymore. Like, this shit happens all the time where your class can get nerfed out of something that is like out of your class's control or is bullshit in other ways, and it just happens.
Earlier, and there was a lot of community conversation on like, well, there's so many poison, debuffs in these dungeons. Of course, Resto Shaman are really powerful. And then we buff, prop paladins, and suddenly Resto Shaman now fall off, and Discipline Priests are most present again in those very high keys. And it's like, we didn't even touch the healers.
Right? Yeah, actually, he's exactly right. So he's kind of cooking right now.
It's a very like complex kind of web of interactions between our classes, which we think is really fun to play around and to look to how do you play off these other members in your group and build those strengths that you can work towards. So we are constantly kind of looking at class balance.
That's cap, though. They buffed
Disc. A pretty fixed schedule.
And they nerfed Poison Totem. All right, he's lying.
Our classes,
L. Morgan.
But we also look at our dungeons and raids in terms of like, the combat team is looking at what is the balance and, again, those success rates for each of our specs. And also on the encounter side, we look at kind of smoothing out some potential rough edges. For instance, tank busters were something that we looked a lot at in season 1 late in the season, as well as season 2, where there was a lot of feedback coming from the community around, hey, you made these tank changes, and we think you should, essentially the community would call for the tank changes to be reverted, but what we talked about a lot was like, okay, well, there's two sides of this coin. There's the tank changes we made, and then there's the content that the players are experiencing. And maybe we...
Oh, before he goes on, he's right, by the way. So, Mythic Plus specifically, those tank nerfs were turbo trash, but, like, there's multiple ways to tank in this game, right? Like, raid tanking, currently, you don't feel those nerfs. You can still live everything in raid. It's just high Mythic Plus where, you're mostly afraid of white hits, and it's an infinitely scaling thing, and you're tanking a bunch of mobs, so it's going to be the thing that's trying to kill you the most. They're probably trying to bridge the gap between those two things, so them deciding... I'm not defending the tank changes, by the way. I'm just saying, like, them nerfing the damage that Mythic Plus is doing to you while not reverting the tank changes makes sense if you're thinking of... like, let's try to tune raid tanking and dungeon tanking at the same time. Because if they try to make tanks feel OP in dungeons, they will literally be unkillable in raid at all times, which is also not an ideal thing, right? And I guess the alternative is you could try to make tanking and raid more deadly. There's been tiers where that's true. Actually, I wonder if they've ever... I would love to ask a question about that. Like, if you guys have tanked, you know this answer. Bro, some raids beat your absolute brains in. They fucking destroy you. as a tank, and sometimes you cannot die ever. It's like a hidden part of tuning that people almost never talk about because almost no one's a tank and they don't deal with it. But like if you're a tank, you know what I'm talking about. Like it is so hit or miss depending on the raid. Like Denathrius would swing his sword and probably one-shot you if you didn't have mitigation up. Just a fucking auto attack. Jailer, same thing. And some raids like you actually can't die. And I wonder if that's been intentional or if that's like something that just doesn't get talked about as much. Like, you know, they rarely ever do tank changes because almost no one tanks. I wonder if they actually pay attention to like tank tuning. Like, when was the last time in progression you saw them like nerf or buff the amount of damage a boss did to tanks specifically that wasn't about like one tanking this tier on Silken Cord? It's a long time. Like they did to Jaina. They buffed Jaina's tank damage. That's like one of the only times I can remember that happening. Like in progression, in world first progression, not as a nerf and farm.
The mark on our content changes when we made those tank changes, because we said we wanted, you know, tank health to you know, feel like it isn't as spiky, and then we had to look at, okay, well, what does the incoming damage look like versus what are the tank's tools in their toolbox? And those sides of the coin are really important, that we're constantly looking at each of them and how they interact with one another. So we very much have a cadence that we regularly look at those things together.
Let Katrina talk.
Try to make sure that experience,
let Katrina talk.
You know, is reflected in the community, and you know, they're having a good time with the dungeons and the raid, as it were.
Dude, come on! I'm so ready.
Awesome. It must be a never-ending cycle. Basically.
Look, Katrina's so over this shit. Let her talk.
Commendable for sure. So before I get into raids, I'd like to hear from both of you. What dungeon are you most excited to see make its way into the dungeon pool?
Oh, it's such a bad question. Who cares? Why do we want to know the personal opinion of a fight designer or associate game director's favorite dungeon they're looking forward to? You don't learn anything from that. But at least Katrina will talk. Katrina.
Yeah, you want to take that?
Yeah,
Let's go!
When I heard we were doing Undermine, I immediately walked into my leads desk. It was like, we're putting Motherload in this season, right? Like,
Katrina, one of the best dungeons of all time.
Just that whole storyline, like, I love the goblins in that one little section and kicking the ball around on boss one. Like, I don't know, I'm very excited for that dungeon to make its return.
Yep.
Yeah, I am personally excited about Operation Floodgate, which is a brand new dungeon coming with the Undermined update. That's going to be super fun. And I'm excited for Big Mama, just because I love acronyms in WoW, because the team never ceases to amaze me with their amazing acronym making abilities. Because Big Mama, the Mama is an acronym, and it stands for, let me see if I remember this, mech.
Someone in chat said a tad bit triggered from that Morgan Day fake news spree right there. That just wasn't good enough in light of a tank dilemma in season 1. Yeah, you're valid. You're valid. W chatter.
Operating miniature.
All right, we're skipping this. What's the process of designing a raid?
We would love to hear more about what the internal process is when it comes to designing a raid within a patch. So does like the one team decide the story direction and they go, hey, next patch is goblins, and then the encounter team gets to run with that and make a goblin.
Oh, this is a good
raid,
question.
Or is it an entirely different process altogether?
Well, that's pretty much our process.
Katrina! Dude, I just said that like Joe Biden says Minnesota. One second. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I have a problem. Every time I hear the word Minnesota, I do the Joe Biden Minnesota meme. Where he says it like loud as fuck. He goes, Minnesota! Bro, have you got... Here, bro. Here, you need to see this, dude. Listen to how he says this. Minnesota! Dude, I say that all the time. Holy fuck. Oh my god. I love it. Going back to this. Why did he do it? Why did he say it like that?
It really is
Minnesota!
It's very fun to come in at that point in the story, because the story's established. You kind of have an idea of where we're going, and we kind of have to fill in all the pieces. So basically, you know, pitch for Undermine is, hey...
Damn, that was when Bro still had some sauce left in him. Yep, he fell off. Joe.
Gallywix is retreating
Bro
into his
old.
headquarters.
Speaking of that, I got old yesterday.
All his top employees out into the streets to take over.
Turned 23.
And so, honestly, the encounter team just ran with that and had just an amazing time coming up with wacky goblin mechanics and really leaning into like that tinker aesthetic for goblins, and you know, coming up with like we have promoter Rick Reverb, who his whole focus is working with sonic machines and dropping amps and stuff from the sky.
Bro, you guys are haters, man.
Yeah, it's been an awesome time to work on this patch, because goblins are just so core to WoW, and it's an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, and for me in particular, like looking at the War Within and the World Soul Saga holistically, we knew from the onset we had to go to Undermine, right? Like, this is an expansion that was primarily set underground, and so we were like, okay, Undermine, it's underground. If we're ever going to go to this place, it's got to be now. So there was very much lots of fun Easter eggs that were kind of planted all throughout the expansion. Kind of, it's not a coincidence that there was these kind of, interspersed goblin encampments all throughout the Ringing Deeps, right? And then, it turns out the Ringing Deeps is where they busted the hole in the wall to get to the Undermine. So very, very fun to get to visit this location. It's a place we've wanted to do for so long, and this felt like the perfect opportunity to go there.
You can tell just from the testing and the aesthetics that you guys had a great time making this raid. It just looks exciting and fun and fresh, so we're really excited. If you had to pick one theme, I mean, it very well might be goblins, as your favorite to design encounters for, so like goblins.
Bro, it has to be this raid. This raid is so sick.
Etc. What would it
like
be?
Theme wise, it's
your
this
top theme.
It's this theme.
This is a hard question. Like, there's different challenges that come out of designing for those themes.
Come on, Katrina, it's this theme.
So for one,
we're driving cars.
I think any opportunity to work with like a brand new culture, it's daunting. It's a daunting design challenge in itself to come up with something new for something you've never seen before.
Wait, saying someone else's question is a waste when you guys asked Skarzard what his favorite trinket was. Hey, you guys, that was Dratnos. And are you slandering Dratnos right now in public?
But I think something particular with
That's
WoW
crazy, bro.
is you have 20 years of player expectation of what a creature does, and extrapolating on that has been really fun, especially with goblins in 11.1.
Damn.
Like, basically being able to design towards that with some fresh perspectives it's just been a joy, honestly. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I stand by Dratnos asking that. You're talking about the person that names all this shit and loves doing it, and he's the rewards guy that's naming all these items, and you know that he cares about the names of them a lot. I think it's a great question for that. Not everything in an interview needs to be like, fucking, just give me pure fucking information. I think hearing about the way they think and stuff like that is cool. And I think him being himself in the interview is the coolest part. We didn't get anything announced or anything you didn't know. You just got to hear a lot of cool shit.
It's interesting
Minnesota!
how you phrase that. As an ex-encounter designer myself as well, you always have these ideas for a mechanic, right? Like, oh, what if I did this cool thing in this encounter? But you never want to like force that into an encounter. You want to wait. You need to wait for that thematic, for that fantasy to align with that. And I always loved mind control. Like, I think all of my encounters ever had some form of mind control in one way, shape, or form, because I always think it's hilarious when players kill each other, because I love PvP in the raid. So both goblins and old gods check that box. So
okay, yeah. No, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And so I have you to thank for every time someone killed me on a past encounter with mind control.
Okay, we're gonna listen to the end of this, the last 5 minutes, because it has two very good questions.
What is the approach to designing mechanics that are challenging enough to not be boring, but not overly difficult or frustrating, and how do you determine where that line is?
Okay, I mean, it depends on the boss, right? I mean, I'll let them answer it.
Just having all those Mythic Plus discussions about,
like there are mechanics that are fair on an end boss, but are not fair on the third boss, right? So I feel like just as you go through the raid, the level at which mechanics can be really hard just depends on what boss you're in.
Constant balancing act. I think personally for me, when I kind of like comes to designing mechanics, I really start with like, does this mechanic mesh well with the story or the concept of the boss I'm trying to tell? Is the mechanic fun? Is it repeatable? Can I come back in 4 weeks and still have some type of challenge with this? Or am I like fully mastering it? And there's a variety. Like, we want all those things, I think, across all the bosses of the raid, some type of variety of fun and different ways. And then on the flip side, other axis of that is tuning it, right? So when it comes to designing something challenging enough, does this particular mechanic have enough time to tell what's happening? Does the player have enough time to react? Even with, raid encounters, they have such a gravitas. Like, you see a giant dragon swoop across your screen, that needs to take a certain amount of time to really have its epicness,
True.
And it's really just finding that balancing act of, like, what's enough time for players to react, what's enough time to tell a story, what feels good, what feels fun and exhilarating for the player. That's top of mind for encounters across the board. I don't know, Morgan, if you had anything to add to that.
Yeah, for me, when I think about that, I think there's two thoughts. One, what difficulty is it, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Part of it for me, because when we think about, challenge and how difficult it should be, it has to be viewed through the context of, okay, well, where am I? Am I in a normal raid? When I think about normal raids, I think about, like, you're allowed mistakes. How many mistakes are you allowed to make before you wipe? There's no one mechanic that should just instantly wipe you on normal, unless it's maybe the end boss. And even then, I would argue, maybe don't do that. On heroic, maybe it kills you if you make a mistake, but it doesn't kill the whole raid. Again, you can make arguments about, okay, boss 1 versus the end boss. The rules get a little muddied there. And then Mythic is just everything kills you instantly.
You can't W
no
yourself?
Right? That little swirly on the ground might
yeah,
tickle a little hard.
W
You're
me.
going to die in Mythic raid, right?
Woo.
So to me, it's a lot of, like, where am I? What's the context? And then speaking of where am I, where is it in the fight, right? There's a lot, I think you could say, if by far the most challenging part of the fight, and it's like this huge jump up in difficulty, and it's so punishing to make a mistake, and it's 15 minutes into the fight. Oh my God, that's exhausting, right? That's not going to feel very great as a player. It's one of the reasons we actually moved away from
15-minute
our end bosses. Gosh, I think the longest one we ever made was like 22 minutes or something. It was just like a marathon.
Yeah, but that was the long. So that's Shaw of Fear or Shaw. I forget. I think it's Shaw of Fear. Shaw of Pride. I always get it mixed up with, which I think is the Siege of Orgrimmar boss. It's the that was like for the world first kill, and that was like an insane. But like most other bosses though, like the average end boss duration since MoP has been like 13 or 12 minutes, and then just recently they started making all of them sub 10 minutes. I think this was starting with Sarkareth. Since Sarkareth, they've always been they're now exactly 10 minutes or under 10 minutes. They're like 10 minutes and 10 seconds or sub 10, which is very good. I actually think that's wasn't Ansarek long in the race? Let me see what our Ansarek kill was. It's a good question actually. Let me find our logs here. What month did we kill this, kill that boss in? Was it September? Looks like it. Yeah, here we go. Okay, Queen Ansarek. It was 9 minutes and 53 seconds was our kill. So yeah, right there. If you can hero twice, it's way too long. I actually think the longest a end boss ever should be is 10 minutes and 30 seconds or 10 minutes and 40, where you just lust on pull and lust at the end. I think that's fine. But like, yeah, the 13-minute... Here's the statement I would make. Every single 13-minute end boss, you could remove an entire phase or 3 minutes of that fight, and it would have actually been a better encounter. We can maybe actually... That would be a fun stream to actually see what parts of fights... Some of them are really obvious, but...
Marathon of difficulty. Yeah. And we've kind of stepped away from
Sire,
that just because of
Sire
this
was 10
exact
minutes.
problem. It's like, gosh, it feels so bad to wipe 50.
I think one of the reasons that they ended up going with sub 10 minutes is I think there was only 2 bosses before Sarkareth, end bosses that were sub 10 minutes, and it was Denathrius and Blackhand, which are like 2 of the best bosses ever.
15 minutes into a fight because, well, the fight's getting progressively harder. And now that first, 14 minutes I've done 100 times, and it's like, okay, we're all asleep until this last minute, and maybe that's not the best way to inject difficulty into a fight. So, very interesting question. Lots of nuance to it.
No, I mean, even if you look at the list of bosses that are sub 10 minutes now in WoW's history, I still think it's a solid list. Like, it's Blackhand, Denathrius, Fyrak, Queen Ansarek, and Sarkarath. Now, Sire Denathrius and Blackhand are better bosses than Queen Anne Sarek, the other three I just said, Sarkarath, and Fyrakk. Fyrakk might be on that tier. It depends on when you killed it. Fyrakk is, like, super controversial. Like, really the only redeeming part about Fyrakk is P3. Like, Dratnos even listed it as, like, his favorite boss ever or something, and he was like, I'm saying this while acknowledging that P1 and P2 were bad. But the thing is, if you killed Fyrakk late in the tier, P3 was a total fucking joke. Like, you could, like, almost one-shot it on accident if you just had the right people do the right thing with seeds. But, like, it was just so easy because you skipped 2 seed sets. So, like, it totally depends on when you killed it, but...
That's really interesting. All right, I've got time for one more question, I believe. So, with the racial first coming up, I guess I'll ask this one. Secret Mythic phases. Always a huge topic of conversation when the racial first comes up. Is there going to be a secret phase, right? Especially now that we haven't been PTR testing final bosses.
It's also been a fucking long time. It's been 2022 was the last time we had a Mythic phase,
and
right?
It seems like it's something that's pretty well received within the community at large. What's the consensus on when, if, and how to implement a secret Mythic phase?
That's a good question. Because you're not saying, like, hey, is there going to be a secret phase? Because they're not going to answer that, even though it's, like, pretty obvious there will be.
We love Mythic phases. I think part of Mythic is the spectacle. You know, we get the stream, we get Race to World First going on. I think when we, like, want to do a Mythic phase, it's really, like, when does it make sense to inject something like that? Does it fit the boss? Does it feel extra special as a result of, like, when we do them? It's when we put a secret or a twist in and it's obvious, it doesn't feel quite as surprising or exciting. So we have to be very careful of when we plan to add those types of things. Morgan, I'm not sure if you had anything else to add to that, but
it's not funny. I don't know why.
We never want to set the expectation that we're always going to do this, because then it's not really a secret.
Right. Exactly.
We talk a lot about novelty within the team to try to keep things fresh. We know seasonal content is exciting, but also it's easy to fall into, I'll just call it the trap as a developer of, well, what did we do last time? Do that again. And as a player, you want to see new and interesting things and constantly trying new ideas. It's one of the beauties of working on World of Warcraft is we, have been doing this for a long time, and there's always something new we can try. And if it works, awesome. We can put it in our, utility belt of options we can use in the future. And if it doesn't work, don't do it again. The community will be more than happy to let us know that they didn't like it. And we're always listening for that and excited to hear that, right? So,
I think the Jailer Mythic phase, maybe the reason why I feel like the Jailer Mythic phase wasn't very good. Obviously, it was, like, heavily exploited. Like, it was actually weird. Like, a guild exploited the fight, and then Blizzard let that go, and then a bunch of other guilds killed it by doing the mage thing. Which was really, that's, like, historically, that, like, never happens. But also, it was just, like, not even that cool of a phase really far into the fight. Like, I think the phase started, like, 12 or 13 minutes in of an already impossibly hard fight. That was a bad example of, like, adding a phase to a fight, I think. Like, I would say Jailer is just a better fight without the secret phase. Feel pretty confident about that. Like, P3 is finite enough for sure, where you just go to 0%. It would have felt good. Okay, I'm kind of done with this interview. Damn, I'm realizing I now only have 50 minutes to do the community tier list thing. I think we have to do it tomorrow. I don't think we can do it today. We don't have enough time. Like, I'm just going to have to stop in the middle of it. I'm streaming tomorrow, so I could just do it. Start now. No, I mean, I literally just don't think I'll have enough time. Because we have... Maybe I could do just the tanks or something. Just start it and do just the tanks. Because there's another thing, too. Someone made a video called Worst Raid of Every Expansion, and I thought it would be really fun to, like, watch this.
Raiding's been my favorite.
Nope. I thought it'd be fun to watch this and guess and actually discuss what the worst raids are of every WoW expansion and then see what he thinks. Because I think that would be sick content, too. I've also never seen this YouTuber before. Usually when that's the case and they have a bunch of subscribers, they're just classic YouTubers. Yeah, I mean, literally classic WoW is in the thing. All right, I'm going to change the title. I'm going to say Yeah, I'm going to change it. I'm pivoting. I'm sorry, boys. If you feel baited, I'm sorry. I'm going to do it tomorrow instead. I just don't have enough time. Cat Race World first at 3 p.m. And 11.1 community tier list. Tomorrow and Saturday. You lied to me? Yeah, all right. I apologize. I'm just telling you what it is. I don't intend to... I did intend on doing some of it. I just won't do it today. I mean, I still think this is going to be really interesting, though. Max, you're doing a shoot all day tomorrow, I thought? No, the shoot tomorrow starts later in the day, so I can stream in the morning. Okay, so... Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. What is the worst raid of every WoW expansion? Some will probably be very easy. Some less so. But it'll be fun to talk about it either way. Well, the War Within, probably not. Okay, I'll need your all's help in Classic because I didn't play then. So we can all rank that shit, I guess. But I need to, like, I guess I need to go in game here so I can actually see the, Let's go from... Let's go from now and then back. Okay, so starting with Dragonflight. Let me log in. Damn, BOD getting called out. Wait, did I say... Oh, wait, what is this BFA? I don't even think Battle to Zarlor is the worst raid in BFA either. I don't know why I typed that. So, the worst raid in Dragonflight, I think excludes Amirdrasil. I think Amirdrasil was problematic in that it was just kind of too hard, but it was just a better raid than the other two. It's like Aberrus's really only fault is that it was too easy, which wasn't the raid's fault. It was the upgrade system's fault because you just had too much gear. And also the Skarn situation. But Vault was just bad. The thing is Vault, like I don't know. Echo of Neltharion was like a weak aura map disaster. That mattered too. That definitely not great. But Sarkareth was just so much better than Razageth as a mythic boss. Aranog, fine first boss. Taros, great second boss or third boss. Primal Council, super easy second boss. Senarth was not good. Dathia made everyone want to pull their hair out. Broodkeeper was about as good as it could have been, but that even as good as it could have been is still like just the fight design as a whole was just bad, so it was just not fun. And Razageth was a horrific mythic fight. I would say Vault. My guess would be Vault. So Dragonflight, Vault would be the worst raid. First one. All right, Shadowlands. Only 3 raids in Shadowlands. Same as Dragonflight. So the answer is absolutely not Castle Nathria. So, I mean, yeah, it's just Sanctum, right? It's not even hard. Just for the sake of argument, though, let's think about it. So Sepulchre... What a lot of people revere about Sepulchre also killed other people's guilds. You know? Like, Halandris, great Race World first boss. I'm just telling you right now, there's no way you killed Halandris and you were, like, super hyped about it when you killed this boss after the nerfs that made the bombs, like, a minute long. Like, that fight was just trash. Like, you know? So it was, like, more fun boss to watch than it was to do. Lihivam was, like, a boss that was, like, kind of a mid-wing end boss because... Unless you figured out the strat for it, the fight was just kind of on rails, not very fun. The first bosses are all super whatever, Skolex whatever, Zymox was fine, DeSausage whatever, Pantheon whatever. You know, they just had definitely not great early, but then like and even Jailer. I think Jailer is like a pretty mid end boss. But Rygalon was great, Anduin was great. I think Sepulchre is closer than you think, because like Sanctum I think Sylvanas is an underrated end boss. People remember P2 on Heroic and they just assume that's what it was like on Mythic, but P2 on Mythic moved pretty quick. You weren't like just waiting around doing shit like you were in Heroic. And P3 is one of the all-time best phases, and I think P1 was a fine phase in Sylvanas, so I think Sylvanas is fine. The big problem with Sanctum is you kill Painsmith and the next 3 bosses are all total letdown in different ways. Like, you can't have 3 of the last 4 bosses all disappoint and your raid be even remotely good, right? So I feel like the answer has to be Sanctum. Even Painsmith is interesting because, like, again, a lot of people revere Painsmith from watching it in the Race World first, but it was also a big guild killer. And I think there's a lot to be said about, like, mid-raid walls not actually being very good for the game, you know? Like, for example, if you just fought Guardian or Fatescribe here and you killed Painsmith later, like, you still get to kill Painsmith, but it's just, like, not bullshit for a lot of people and way too hard too early. And the other thing I wanted to mention about Sanctum is the beginning owns. Terragru, great. Eye of the Jailer, great. The 9, great. Remnant, great. Soulrender, great. Like, Sanctum Domination has, like, one of the best starts to any raid ever. And then, depending on how you feel about Painsmith, it can be really good as well. And then it just, like, totally falls off. And then Sylvanas, for people who did on Mythic, I think is a fine, good fight. It's a good fight. It's not great. It's not bad. Sylvanas. Okay, I don't even know. We just did this for the sake of argument. I think the answer is Sanctum. Because Sepulchre, if you just look at the last bosses, you get Halandris, Anduin, Rygalon. You get like 3 all-time bangers. You know? And then when you look at the last 3 of Sanctum, it's like, there's no bangers. There's no, I mean, they're like, Sylvanas is good, but Sylvanas is better than Jailer, but yeah, I don't know. Let's say Sanctum. Okay, BFA. So BFA is interesting because I think it's certainly between 2 of them. I don't think Battle of Dazar'alor or Ny'alotha are eligible. I think both of those raids were pretty good. Battle of Dazar'alor's main issue is a lot of its really cool, clever, early fights were just too easy. Like, and that matters, you know? Like, you can make the coolest fights ever, but we killed all these bosses except for Jaina in 1 raid. Well, we technically killed Stormwall in the morning because it was bugged, but we would have done it in 1 day. We had to go to bed because the fight didn't work. So, like, if you do all of these in 1 raid and none of them are really challenging, like, they're not memorable, you don't think of them. This is just my opinion, right? This is from the race. And then Jaina was a good fight. So like, but I feel like BOD, this was cool enough for most people. Like, Opulent's like an all-time great mid-raid boss. Rosticon's great. Mechatork's great. I think we're going to eliminate Battle of Dazar'alor. I think that would also eliminate Ny'alotha. A lot of bosses, but some extremely memorable good ones. Probably the lowest point of Ny'alotha, to be honest with you, is if you did Il'gynoth with the Dispel strat. It didn't matter too much negatively because it was really easy. You could kill it in like 10 pulls, but it was just like a really frustrating thing. Like, everything would just be going fine, and then boom, everyone explodes. And it's like, okay, one of our 20 players probably messed up and caused a chain reaction. Who knows who did it? All right, pull again, you know? But Carapace was weak as well. Like, just not a great second to last boss, especially the beginning. So I'm going to eliminate those 2. So the question comes down to Eternal Palace, Uldir. And are we including Crucible of Storms? I think if you include Crucible of Storms, the answer has to be this. Well, I guess it depends on how you're making this list. Are you trying to make this list for the general public or for yourself? But, I mean, Crucible of Storms, there's a reason they haven't done mini raids again. They made this raid impossibly hard because it came out 2 months after Battle of Dazar'alor did, so no one was done progressing it. And like almost no one killed this boss, and it was barely even worth putting the time in to do it because the loot wasn't even good. So they basically made content that almost no one did. So that being said, Restless Cabal was a really good fight. Unat wasn't a good fight. It was really hard, but Restless Cabal was actually a sick encounter. So I think Restless Cabal okay, I want to say we can eliminate Crucible of Storms just because I feel like it's not even a full raid. It's not really fair. So it comes down to Eternal Palace and Uldir. Eternal Palace, everyone was really scared about the underwater boss. Ended up being just fine. Radiance, nice, easy fight. Nothing wrong with it. Lady Ashvane, kind of annoying how you ended up killing it, but I think really cool visually. Dropped one of the best trinkets ever, and just was a cool fight to kill. So, like, I think Ashvane is a plus. And then I think, this is my opinion, but I think the end of this raid goes crazy. I think, like, Ashvane into Orgazoa, into Queen's Court, into Zakul, all bang. I know some people hate Zakul because of the damage stop thing, but, like, I actually think that fight was really fucking good. Like, really good. If you eliminate the damage, like, the damage stop you do at the beginning, which admittedly, that sucks. If your opinion is this fight sucks because I had to stop damage for 30, I think it was 40 seconds, not kidding, that's valid. Like, I get it. I get you, right? But, like, Zakul fucking owned. If you can ignore that part of it. Absolutely banged. Queen Ashar was not a good fight. P1 did not need to exist, and P3 was just a bad phase. Really ambitious fight, but, like, I mean, Ashar is just not a good encounter. Okay. Uldir. Talok, perfectly fine first boss. Second boss, you get to AoE pad. Fetid Devourer. Was Fetid Devourer a good fight? It was really hard, and then they nerfed it, and it wasn't that hard. But was it good? I mean, it's one of those... so, like, I think the theme of Uldir, it depends on if you're a melee or a ranged. So you guys know how, like, you can bring 1,000,000 melee to every raid now? That's probably because Uldir existed. Like, Uldir, on Fetid Devourer, your melee had to be spread out the entire fight. On Vectis, your melee have to be spread out the entire fight. On Mithrax, your melee have to be spread out the entire fight. On Race World First Progression, the orbs could target melee, by the way. You ended up wanting to bring a ton of melee to this because they couldn't target melee, so you had less people dealing with the mechanic, but, like, your melee would literally just MC each other if they weren't spread when these came out. So, like, and Gahoon was super anti-melee in the last phase. This was the most anti-melee raid ever, pound for pound, like, for how many bosses were in it. So, but if you're ranged, maybe you're chilling with it. Zekvaz was kind of a fun fight. Vectis was pretty fun, clever fight. Zool, obviously the rogue thing is what people remember. What a lot of other people don't remember is the world third kill of this, which was on the same day as the world first kill of this, used 1 total rogue, but yet people seem to imply historically that you needed like 8 rogues to kill this fight, which no guild had, and some guilds... A guild killed at day 2 with 0 rogues. It just wasn't a hard enough boss to ever matter that much. Mithrax is great. Okay, what are you guys thinking? What's a worse raid, Eternal Palace or Uldir? Keep in mind, Uldir doesn't get, like, Emerald Nightmare points where it's, like, this baby intro raid. Uldir was the first raid where the intro raid was considered just as difficult as the end raid, and it's been that way ever since. You guys think Uldir's worse? Yeah, a lot of people saying Uldir. I think you're right. I think the thing is here's where Eternal Palace, I think, gets points, is, like, if you can name the, like, really good bosses in Eternal Palace, there's, like, 3 or 4 of them. In Uldir, what bosses are you pointing to that are really good fights? Mithrax is a really good fight, but, like, I don't know if there's a strong argument to be made about, like, any of the other encounters. Gahoon was a slightly better end boss than Queen Ashara, which has more weight than a regular boss, but yeah, I think you're right. I think Uldir. Oh, Mother was cool too, but, like, it's an early boss, you know? Like, a boss can be a really good... Like, for example, your raid can have a super good first boss. But, like, at the end of the day, it's a first boss, you know? It's something that doesn't matter too much because it's just, you do it one time and, yeah. Well, I guess you do it a lot over and over again. Legion. Worst raid in Legion. Okay, so Nighthold obviously excluded. One of the best raids of all time. This is actually really interesting. So, I think a lot of people are going to jump and say Emerald Nightmare. Just because it was easy. But, bro, Emerald Nightmare was fun. These bosses were good. Dragons of Nightmare was good. Ursoc was really good. Cenarius was really good. Il'gynoth was different, but really good. Elarth Renfarrell was whatever. Nithendra, first boss. But, like, I think people just have it in their heads that this raid was easy and was bad. I don't think Emerald Nightmare was bad at all. And, also, this was a raid that was intended to be easy. Like... If you look back before Legion, right, Warlords of Draenor, Heimwall existed. They didn't give you Blackrock Foundry at the beginning of the expansion like they did with Uldir, right? They gave you a Heimwall, which is not intended to be as difficult, right? Look at Mists of Pandaria. They're going to give you Amogishan Vaults before Heart of Fear, right? They're going to give you, well, I guess Tier 11's a lot different, but, like, specifically for MoP, and WoD and Legion, they had like the first raid of the expansion is going to be very easy in comparison. So do you think it's really fair to just like hold that against Emerald Nightmare? It's just the only one that sticks out as not great, because like Tomb of Sargeras was pretty good, Antorus was pretty good, Nighthold was really good. Trial of Valor is like an example of why they should do smaller raids, right? Trial of Valor is like all 3 of these bosses banged. These were fucking sick fights, right? So like that's, I think Trial of Valor is like off the so it's almost like Emerald Nightmare is worse by default, but I actually don't know if that, okay, I'm kind of being like playing devil's advocate here. Here's my take. The answer here is probably Emerald Nightmare, but I'm just trying to play the other side of the argument, because I think Emerald Nightmare is overhated for a lot of the wrong reasons. Like, a lot of people who did Emerald Nightmare weren't like in hell. They really enjoyed the beginning of Legion. Like, I don't know. Maybe some people feel really bad about Tomb, because Tomb was like, this is when everyone complained about the amount of soaks and how hard the raid was. You guys think it's a coincidence that every single boss, you can count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is, do you guys wonder why in Antorus 10 bosses died in one raid day during the Race to World First? You want to know why? Because Tomb of Sargeras happened. Because Mistress was that hard that early. Because Fallen Avatar existed. Because Kill Jaden existed. There was a direct reaction to that. So, I mean, is Antorus on the menu for worst raid? Like, think about it. Like, all these bosses, some of them are kind of cool. ENR is absolutely terrible. But, like, some of these bosses are kind of cool, but they died instantly. They don't... Agrimar looks really cool. Okay, Agrimar died instantly. It doesn't matter, right? Argus was, like, visually super insane, but not a super amazing end boss. It was also a really good time to play the game. I think that matters, too. I don't know. The answer is Emerald Nightmare. I just think that it's not as much of a runaway... answer is I think you'd get. And I think the discourse is interesting anyway. Okay. Warlords of Draenor. Worst raid. This is low-key hard. Okay, so the answer is not Blackrock Foundry. Blackrock Foundry, similar to Nighthold, top 3 raid ever. Heimdall fucking owned. Bro, Heimdall was a good fucking raid. Like... this is why a lot of people like have such different opinions on WoD, because if you were a raid logger, WoD went so crazy because every raid owned and you didn't care about the lack of content because you were a raid logger. But like if you were someone who expected a lot of casual content from the game, like WoD sucked, and I totally get that. Like selfie stick, all that shit, I get it. But like the raids absolutely, dude, I don't even know if it's fair. I mean, it's almost Heimdall by default for the same reason of Emerald Nightmare. Because Emerald Nightmare wasn't trying to be Nighthold. It wasn't trying to be Antorus. And it ended up being the worst raid because it was easy. Literally. And Warlords of Draenor, it's probably going to be Heimdall because it's just not trying to do the same thing the other two did. I mean, Heimdall versus Hellfire Citadel. So, what bosses were actually good in Heimdall? First boss just doesn't really matter. Butcher was great. Brackenspore was great. Twin Ogron was great. Bro, Heimdall owned. Tectis was different but great. Heimdall kind of fucking owned. Like, it's insane to be like the answer's Heimdall. Heimdall was really fucking good. Hellfire Citadel was good too, man. Had a mid-raid wall, which again, kind of polarizing, but... Like, even the other... Okay, Hellfire Assault is probably the worst first boss ever on Mythic. So I think people thought the first boss in Sepulchre was worse than Hellfire Assault, but on Mythic, the first boss in Sepulchre was actually quite fine, because you could hit it the whole time. Iron Reaver, great second boss. Cormrock, great third boss. Hellfire High Council and Kilrog were fine. Gorfiend, depends on how you feel about mid-raid walls. Socrathar, very interesting. We killed this boss with Dark Sim, not even kidding. Shadowlord Iskar was like a super unique... Honestly, I think Shadowlord Iskar fucking owns. Super, super unique, like Eye of Anzu mechanic thing was really cool. Fellord, Zul'Harak, Tyrant. Okay, Hellfire Citadel owns. The answer's Heimdall, but like the real answer is there were no bad raids, but if we have to pick one, the answer is Heimdall. Like, just by default. There were no bad raids in WoD. They were all good. The first boss of Hellfire Citadel single-handedly puts it as the worst, even though the raid overall was fun. See, that's insane, because it's the fucking first boss, man. It just doesn't matter. It was stupid and it was annoying, but it was easy, and you just did it and never thought about it again. You know? Well, except for every week when you did it again and you hated it. Yeah. Okay, Mists of Pandaria. So, Siege of Orgrimmar and Throne of Thunder are off the table. Those are two of the best raids of all time. But, okay, so this is another thing. This is another expansion where this is totally unfair. Siege of Orgrimmar, full-ass raid. Throne of Thunder, full-ass raid. And they split up the first raid into 3 different ones that weren't available at the same time. So, like, Terrace of Endless Spring on its own, only 4 bosses. Mogishan Vaults was like Emerald Nightmare before Emerald Nightmare was Emerald Nightmare. And Heart of Fear... Okay, so because it's not these two, I think we can also get rid of Heart of Fear. I think Heart of Fear is a significantly better raid than both Terrace and Mogishan Vaults. If there's anything against Heart of Fear, it's that the hardest boss in the raid was the first one. I mean, that's pretty stupid when you think about it, or say it. You know? Like, the hardest boss was Grand Emperor Shek'Zir, but the next hardest boss was the first encounter. Which is very weird. But Terrace of Endless Spring just didn't have anything memorable. Protectors of the Endless had like an elite mode, which was kind of cool. You could kill them in a different order and get better loot. Sulong was a healer boss. Lei Shi was just a bad fight. And then Shaw of Fear was 22 minutes long on Mythic. Is the answer Terrace of Endless Spring, and it's just not really that... Because Mogishan Vaults is a good raid. The thing is, Mogishan Vault was Emerald Nightmare, but it had extremely memorable and very good fights. The last boss was really unique and really fun to do. Elgon was great. Spirit Kings was great if you didn't have someone in your guild who didn't understand how the you have to stop attacking mechanic worked and then lied about it. Like, bro, I had this rep paladin in my guild named Cybrix. So I don't know why I'm saying his whole name and put him on blast or whatever, but this dude would just always auto attack during the, like, you can't do damage part. And then he would keep saying, sorry, I had my judgment queued up already. And that's just not how this game works. It's just not how the game works. And it fucking drove me insane. And then Garishal was cool. We exploited that fight. Love that. And then first 2 bosses are fine. It's the answer is Terrace of Endless Spring. All right. Kata. All right, so a lot of you guys are going to just immediately say Dragon Soul. And you might be right, but it's one of those things where I think Dragon Soul's overhated. So what really hurts Dragon Soul is that Madness and Spine were both a letdown. Spine was way too hard and you're fighting a dragon's back, and Madness was too easy, yet it looked kind of cool, but like was kind of a letdown. Here's my take with Dragon Soul. Bro, Morchok through Warmaster Blackhorn, put it up against any raid in history 1 through 6. And I think Dragon Soul clears. Every single one of these bosses is awesome in a different way, and they're like super unique. I think the beginning of Dragon Soul legit against any raid, it's goated. And you'll see that in 20 minutes when they do the Dragon Soul Race World first. But the end bosses matter more than that. So, okay. So what are the other raids? Firelands? I mean, Firelands is great. The only issue with Firelands is that the bosses before Ragnaros are all very easy. Like, even back then, you killed them instantly. But Ragnaros is one of the best end bosses ever. And even the really easy early bosses are so fucking unique. Alice Razor, awesome. Lord Rylith, like the directional thing, awesome. Bethelak, awesome. Baelorok, awesome. Shanix is super whatever, but like pretty much all these bosses totally cranked, even though they were easy. So Firelands off the table. First tier, tier 11. The last time that they ever released like multiple raids at once as like part of one tier, like all 3 of these tiers are referred to tier 11, and the person who won this tier was the one who killed all of them, not the ones that did any individual raid first. I think Blackwing's Descent was kind of mid. I think Throne of the Four Winds was mid. And I think Bastion of Twilight was cool. But again, it's kind of unfair to, like... I don't know. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I think Dragon Soul is probably better than 2 of these 3 raids. But the problem is you're comparing, like, a full raid to... You're comparing a full raid to, like, a little tiny baby raid, which is, like, not even the same thing. Like, you'd basically have to say Blackwing Descent, Bastion of Twilight, and Throne of Four Winds are all one raid, and then compare it against Dragon Soul. Like, you could have done that in MoP. It's kind of similar. Not really the same thing, but kind of similar. Like, you could have said Mogish and Vault's Heart of Fear and Terrace of the Spring are all one raid, and that would be correct that all 3 of these were worse than Siege of Orgrimmar and Throne, right? Like, I feel like it's kind of the same thing in Cataclysm. I don't know. I'm gonna say the worst raid in was tier 11, which is definitely not what this video is gonna do. They're going to say Dragon Soul, but I'm gonna fight the good fight for Dragon Soul. Dragon Soul is overhated. All right, guys, we have to do this quick because the Dragon Soul race is starting in 20 minutes. We have to do Wrath through Classic, and I didn't like raid hardcore then, so I need some help. Worst raid in Wrath. What do you guys think? So I think Ulduar and ICC are not available for pick because they're goated. So people didn't like Trial of the Grand Crusader, but I don't know. Is the answer maybe Nax? Like, Nax and Wrath kind of didn't hit. Or is that like a revisionist take? Like, when you were doing Nax at the time, it hit hard because no one did it in Classic. You know? And that matters. Nostalgia matters. That's real. If you feel fucking amazing in a raid, even if it's not great, isn't it still a good raid? Kinda. Alright, I'll let you guys vote. Chat's voting for this because I'm stupid. Here we go. So, TOC. See, like, Ruby Sanctum is also, like, what are we doing here, you know? But let's do Eye of Eternity. Nax seems to be your 3 options. Duration 1 minute. Slam it. Okay, Trial of Crusader. Cool. I figured it would be that. TBC. So as far as I know from general casual opinion, they liked Serpent Shrine Cavern, they liked Sunwell, they liked Black Temple. So the answer here, oh, it's going to be Battle of Mount Hyjal. It's not even close, right? Isn't that the one with all the fucking trash and you have to, like, start from... Yeah, it's that one. Is that the one I'm thinking of? It's Mount Hyjal and it's not close. Mount Hyjal, not close. Okay, Classic. So Classic has Blackwing Lair, Blackrock Depths, Molten Core. Wait, Blackrock Depths is like the... Is that a dungeon? So it's AQ20, AQ40, Molten Core, Blackwing Lair. Oh, damn. Alright. I am doing a poll. And let's see how close we get here. Oh, and ZG. Where is ZG and Nax? Well, I think the answer isn't going to be either of those. Right? Didn't people really like ZG? Okay, so AQ20 is winning by an absolute mile, so... Okay, I guess that's that one. All right, let's watch the video. We're going to have to skim through this video, though, because we have the Classic Race World first coming soon. Worst rate of every expansion. Let's see how many... Well, it's kind of subjective. It's not about being right or wrong, but everything he says is wrong if it's different from what I think.
Favorite thing to do in World of Warcraft for the longest time now, and I think it's one of the areas of the game which has remained a high point for so many people. Whether it was banding 40 people together in vanilla to slay a dragon for 2 bits of loot to share across the entire raid, or in more modern World of Warcraft taking on mythic bosses which are so difficult that there's professional guilds competing to see who can obtain the world first.
That's me!
Raiding has always been a core part of this game, so each expansion and major patch for that matter must have raids, which means there has been a lot of them in World of Warcraft's 20-year history, and though there are so many great raids to pick from, some of them I would sooner rather forget about, and those are the ones we're going to be talking about today, picking out the worst raid of every single version of World of Warcraft that has existed so far, minus the War Within, because as of doing this video, there's only one raid tier in it.
I think it's unlikely that Nerebar Palace ends up being the worst raid tier of this expansion. I think Nerebar Palace was... I mean, you always need to give more time. But I think Nerebar Palace was fine. Like, the most offensive thing Nerebar Palace did was Silken Court. Was Silken Court, basically. But I mean, even then, like, I don't know. Silken Court on Mythic was just... It was good on Heroic. You bet Nerebar is going to be the worst one. I don't know. It's really hard because, like, when a raid is current, the current raid just eats a bunch of, like, other narratives, you know? Like, oh, raiding's too hard now. I fucking hate this raid, although the raid was hard. I mean, anyone who got walled at Brood Twister, like, it's fair to say that if you got to Brood Twister, like, pretty early in the patch, you were probably fighting the hardest boss you've ever fought. And what I mean by that is you probably have killed harder end bosses, but it was way later in the patch when you had the gear to do it and, like, the strats to do it. But, like, there were guilds. Skarzard actually mentioned this in that interview. He's like, dude, I knew someone who was on Brood Twister at the same time as you guys, talking about Liquid. Like, that boss in, like, the first couple days was fucking crazy. Like, and there were people on that boss that were on it at the same time as we were, right? Like, so at the time, it was probably the hardest boss you've ever done. And that could have been really not fun for you.
So it wouldn't be exactly fair to pick.
That was Dratnus who said that.
We're also going to be starting from vanilla and then ascending up the expansions. So with that said,
Dratnus.
Let's make a start. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, Boot.dev. Boot.dev.
Sorry, we're going to be skipping that.
ZG and Nax. But there was also some raids which, to be honest, I didn't really look forwards to doing. Molten Core, I have to be honest, is pretty low down on the list in terms of raids for me in vanilla. There's just so many bosses and trash packs where their mechanic is they're going to put a debuff on the whole raid that you have to dispel, and then you pull something else and guess what that does? It puts another debuff on the whole raid that you have to dispel. Not exactly fun if you've ever played a healer in Molten Core. Oh, and there's all...
I mean, I feel like this is just like a 2025 opinion though, because, like, people weren't complaining about the lack of things to do in Molten Core back in 2004. Everyone was dog shit, you know? Now it's like you're looking at it now and there's like, oh, there's nothing to do in this raid. Well, it's like, yeah, because everyone was horrible. You know?
Raid that you have to dispel. Not exactly fun if you've ever played a healer in Molten Core. Oh, and there's also patrolling trash next to bosses that can chain pull, and even patrolling bosses themselves. I'd rather the bosses just stand somewhere ominously and wait their turn to be blown up by the raid in the space of about 1 minute. I think it was kind of cool to have a map specific to the
we don't have time for this
in vanilla for me. Next up is World.
Wait.
But after a few clears, you find yourself not really wanting to go back here anymore. So that's why it's the pick in vanilla for me. Next up is...
That's AQ20, right? W! First one's right. 1 for 1, chat. 1 for 1. Let's go.
World of Warcraft's first...
I mean, I don't even know why I'm counting this because I know I'm not going to get it right. Like, I chose Dragon Soul as not the worst raid in Cata, which is... I'll stand by that. But I know that everyone disagrees with it.
And it had some really legendary raid tiers such as Karazhan or the Black Temple. TBC also, in my opinion, had the worst raid we've ever seen in this game, and it's just not close. The choice of this expansion needed exactly zero thought from my part.
Let's skip this.
Inspired room where the bosses were marched in one
wait, is this the answer?
That were better remembered than others. Back in the day, Trial of the Crusader was always seen as the raid that nobody ever liked. It was a rather uninspired room where the bosses were marched in one after the other, and it was in stark contrast to some of the better tiers of Wrath of the Lich King. So explored in Wrath of the Lich King after we find out that the aspect of magic has gone a little bit mad and has decided that the mortal races
is the answer going to be Eye of Eternity
was the source of all of Azeroth's problems, and been more within the game than what we got. It's also way over in Caldera on the western side of the map, which at least in tier 7 is the opposite side from where Naxxramas is, and you have to fly all the way over there and do Eye of Eternity every week because the crazy dragon guy drops some really good loot. Despite being a one boss raid, the Eye of Eternity was just not fun to go back to at any point
I kind of respect it.
And for that reason, it's my pick for Wrath of the
Also,
Lich.
it's not really Eye of Eternity's fault. But like every time I think about Eye of Eternity, I think about the dungeon that was it the what was the dungeon called that like it's an awful dungeon. It has nothing to do with the actual raid Eye of Eternity. Yeah, the Oculus, bro. When I see Eye of Eternity, I just think Oculus, and I'm like, this raid is bad, even though the Oculus is a completely separate thing.
Next up is Cataclysm, which is our current classic expansion.
Come on, have a based point of view here.
And we're just about to get stuck into its final raid tier, Dragon Soul.
No,
and it kind of goes without saying what the choice will be here, but I don't think
it doesn't go without saying.
The worst raid of Cataclysm is anywhere near as bad as people make it out to be. Also, I'm not going to pick Baradin Hold. It doesn't really feel like a raid tier, to be honest. Dragon Soul is of course notorious in the World of Warcraft community among players of all types for being a weak raid tier, and admittedly it does have its downsides. I feel as though there's a lack of unique locations explored here, with us for the most part just circling around Wormrest Temple. We even get to go back to Malagos's room. Boss models are also often reused with Stone Giants, Servants of the Old God, and
Morchok was
some
good.
random orc. And then there's of course the fight versus Deathwing, which takes place over 2.
Okay, you're just gonna skip the first 6 bosses that all owned, and you're like, oh yeah, Deathwing was bad.
First fighting,
I mean, it was, but like
immune system on his spine, and then afterwards defeating him once and for all when he's crashed into the Maelstrom. Sounds very cool on paper, but people often say it didn't really feel as though we ever fought Deathwing directly. The idea here.
Also, part of Deathwing's problem was it had to follow the Lich King, which was like the most looked forward to villain shit since like the beginning of WoW, and there was just nothing that was going to come up. They didn't do themselves any favor with the back fight, but yeah, that part of it was
of course was that Deathwing was so enormous that we couldn't fight him directly. It just from between them. I think something that didn't help Dragon Soul's memory in retrospect that it was the first raid ever where realistically everybody had the chance to clear it thanks to Raid Finder. There will of course be Raid Finder in Classic.
How does that hurt? How does that hurt? Wait, oh, we have Edna, stop it. Edna, no. One sec. Why does having Raid Finder hurt?
And Blizzard are delaying it a bit, so we don't know how it's going to look though. Raid Finder allowing everyone to clear, and the raid tier lasting some 11 months or so before Mr. Pandaria dropped, meant that everyone had time to be thoroughly done with it. Back from ICC to Kata's release, which was even longer than Dragon Soul, by the way, there was still that mystery of the later bosses, which could take.
There were some LFR exploits, yeah, but he's not even talking about that though. I'm going to skip ahead. We don't have a lot of time. This thing's starting in 9 minutes, bro.
To Trial of the Grand Cruise.
All right, what about Mob?
We're going to be seeing it again following Cat. That it was a terrible raid, but I do have to pick one here. That's the point of the video. The first potential issue is that, well, it was really quite a short raid with 2 bosses in the same room. Then you got.
Oh, you're talking about Terrace of Endless Spring. Kind of W.
Classic.
We did that. Okay. Moving on. We gotta go.
Classic, for example, Hidden Rage on Lich King before. Point to raise this much for the entire raid, but excessively long end bosses seem to be something that Blizzard were a bit keen on doing during the they saw the sharpest drop off in subs to choose from, those being Highmore, Blackrock Foundry, and Hellfire Citadel.
What do you pick?
All 3 were very good, which makes this a bit of a difficult pick.
Dude, okay, actual W opinion.
For me, it definitely won't be Blackrock Foundry. I think this was overall the best tier of Warlords of Draenor, with some really creative boss
one of the best of all time
encounters, and the most badass Warlord of Draenor, Blackhand. Similarly, I liked Hellfire Citadel actually, despite it going on for ages before
Hellfire
Legion
Citadel
dropped.
slapped.
There were more interesting boss fights in here.
How long a raid is out doesn't make a raid worse.
Good loot. And a lot of the classes were just kind of fun to play by the end of WoD. So that really leaves Highmore, which has to be my choice, and it's just a bit unfortunate because I don't even think Highmore is a bad raid. It has perhaps one of the coolest starts to a raid ever, with you entering up into the arena gladiator style. I also like the 2 magic themed ogres towards the end of the raiding so much more. A lot of what makes mod
So Legion
infamously being the easiest mythic raid tier to ever have been created. It was cleared in under 1 day from launch. It seemed as though Blizzard underestimated all the power that players were able to gain through optimizing legendaries.
But Emerald Nightmare was good though.
Plus in more of Souls like a bunch of degenerates.
Okay, I actually don't think this is true. So this raid was supposed to be easy, but it wasn't cleared that much faster than Mogush and Vaults was cleared. in the previous, in like Mop, which was like kind of the High Maul was way harder, but like they basically just like fucked up Surrender to Madness on the last boss. But like the raid was so cool, and Scenarios is hard. Scenarios is like legit hard.
For hours on end. But above that, it just felt as though it was a bit of a wasted opportunity. The Emerald Dream and the Emerald Nightmare have been locations because they gave expansions.
Okay, what else?
In fact, many would say we had 2 of those in a row.
BFA.
With the 1-2 punch of BFA into Shadowlands. But we have BFA first of this raid, whereas on Alliance it off in Ny'alotha stuff. I think I could have picked Ny'alotha for the disappointing ending where, similar to Dragon Soul, it didn't really feel as though we fought the big for Azeroth, and there was a lot of raiding in this expansion.
Wait, which one is he picking?
Wasn't there? The somewhat easily forgotten Crucible of Storms.
Oh, this...
Well, I say it was easily forgotten, unless you were in a Mythic progression guild at the time, because if you were, this place will be burned into your memory forever, because why on earth was this 2-boss raid so difficult, Blizzard? Crucible came a short while after the battle.
I mean, we talked about this.
As an expected mid-raid tier. Perhaps a bit of a point of interest between this and the next tier, similar to what Trial of Valor had been in Legion, but it just ended up feeling as though it was an unnecessarily challenging raid for what it was. Summon them back over to the Crucible of Storms and have another attempt. Truly unique boss fights and memorable
we're in
characters. It was an unexpected hit heading into this expansion.
There's no way.
The other 2 raids in the Sepulchre.
There's no way he's about to say this.
And the Sanctum of Domination.
Oh, he's just talking about the raids.
In quite high regard though, and I think the pick for me has to go to Sanctum.
All right,
by this point in the expansion, despite...
All right, W. I think we got everything. We got everything right. He picked Sanctum. Oh no, he picked Crucible of Storms, which is definitely a thing. He picked Emerald Nightmare. He had to pick High Maul. He picked Terrace in the Spring. He picked Dragon Soul, which is wrong. He might be right. And then we did the rest of it. Okay, cool. W. Oh, he picked Eye of Eternity and Wrath. All right, so quickly, boys, what are the classic streams I need to watch? Who are the top teams? Who are we watching? The good news about Dragon Souls, it's really easy to watch because it's all linear. Skip Dragonflight? Oh, shit. You're right. I did skip Dragonflight. We have 5 minutes. Let me just go back to where I just was. All right, let's see. We'll watch the end of it.
Raiding's been my favorite thing to do in World of Warcraft for
What's the end?
Character still. Last but not least, we have Dragonflight. Talents and the systems that were in place, and and difference and pick one. What do you think though? Are there any...
Wait.
Of course, this out, and there isn't too much more to be added than that for me. Getting to see all our new class talents and the systems that were in place, and Amir just still being thematically better. It's another case where it's the odd one out, and there isn't too much more to be added than that for me.
Wait, which one?
Leaves us with Aberrus, the Shadowed Crucible. Though it wasn't...
Oh, he thought Aberrus was worse than Vault. Interesting. Okay. Anyways, so what's the thing here? Newman? Yeah, but like, what's the... Holy Pally Sui. I remember I always watched this guy. Holy Pally Sui. Race starting at midnight. Lamau. He thinks it's midnight. It's 3 p.m. Fucking imagine, bro. Imagine. He's right. I think Aberrus and Vault are like kind of close. I'll never have that opinion though, because we won in Aberrus, which like makes me always remember it a little bit more fondly, and we lost in Vault in the most excruciating, I'll never get over it way possible. Who's the other people? Let's see. Nestor for Newman. Okay. So these are the 2 teams. So Holy Pally Sui is in progress. And Nestor is in Newman. Who is the team that won the last raid? Wasn't it like their first win? And they were super hyped and excited? It was Newman. Newman won the last raid. Watch and fall WoW for music. I don't want to get my YouTube VOD nuked. I'll probably put on my own music. Unless they have some bangers playing. Newman won Firelands, and they also won speedruns for Firelands. Dude, Newman W. Holy shit. All right, let's see what comp they're playing. So historically, what you played in Dragon Soul, which is actually probably what people will play in progression, because I think the way that Classic works, right, is you get the tuning for the whole, like, basically the tuning for the whole expansion is just what the tuning was at the end. And if you guys remember, Dragon Soul was actually really controversial because a bunch of guilds, you needed mages, you needed arcane mages with the Terragosa's Rest legendary from Firelands. So like everyone's main mage got recruited. Like, if you were a guild that was ranked ahead of another guild, you would just take that time to recruit their mage who got the legendary. So you needed rogues with legendary daggers and mages with the legendary. So, like, I'm assuming we're going to see a ton of mages for Spine and Ultraxion. Mage for DPS check on Ultraxion. I don't think there's any way they wipe on Ultraxion. Ultraxion is so easy. Ultraxion is actually just like a press your extra action button at the right time check. It's so fucking easy. The boss they might wipe to is like... I mean, it depends on how they do Spine. So how you did Spine back in the day is you had like a blood tank kiting all the bloods around. That's something that could cause wipes for sure, because like if that person messes up, it's just simply a wipe. So it's just like a pretty easy wipe. Like one person making one mistake, you wipe. Most bosses are not like that in Classic. Can't see them wiping on anything. Yeah, last time I think we got all one-shots. I'm excited. So we're going to have Newman as the main POV here, and then we might go... We'll keep an eye on Progress as well. We're going to watch Newman mainly, though. Max, they wiped on Balrog last time? Shut up. People already killed Heroic Madness on PTR. Yeah, I imagine that happens every tier. Also, Madness is a famously easy end boss. It was very cool, though. It looks really cool. Like, I remember when this was, like, probably the first tier that I ranked in, like, the world top 100. But we killed Spine after, like, an entire week and a half of progression. Or, like, maybe it was, like, 5 full days of progression total, like, progression days. And then we killed Madness in 2 hours. Like, it was just a complete joke. Can we hate watch Sang's guild? Dude, that actually sounds good. All these guilds have been private servering this content for months. You know, I actually don't ever know if that's true, because people just, like, kind of say that shit. But also, I don't doubt it and care enough to argue against it. Like, it could be true. Like, I'm not familiar enough with the scene. All right. If I was competing in the race world first in this game, I'd probably do that. It's the best way to practice. W. All right, here we go. You guys are about to see one of the best first bosses ever. I wonder if they're going to skip a lot of the trash. What are you guys doing? Let's go. Hey. Why do they have 3 people zoning out? I'm so confused. They zoned in. They're having a few people zone out and then back in. He says it's fine in say chat. Double checking on Progress to see if they didn't do that. Yeah, Progress is already... Okay, Progress out to a slight lead. We're going to watch Progress. They're a little ahead. Comp differences. We have 8 mages for Progress. Let's see how many mages we have for this guild. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 versus 8. Pretty similar. Tank comp is Guardian, Druid, Blood Decay. Okay. Other group is... Looks probably the same. Can't really... Yeah, Guardian, Druid, Blood Decay. Why is chat taking up half the screen? Oh, I can turn it off. I can make it smaller, actually. I made it bigger the other day on purpose. How about that? You guys chill with that? All right, so they're pulling Morchok in 3, 2, 1. Newman is already on Morchok. How did that happen? Did they skip trash? They must have. All right, back to Newman. This boss owns, by the way.
Cochrome Crystal. Morchok Crystal. Cochrome Crystal. Useful in Mastery.
You gotta soak that shit. This boss owns. This boss be looking like tank and spec. Nah, it splits up. You gotta split your raid. You gotta do a little raid swap. Stack them up. 2 target cleave. You gotta deal with some crystals. Little phase. spawns rocks. Dude, honestly, I don't remember what this boss does. I just remember it owned. Oh, you have to hide. W. Oh my god, no way you die, Palsy. Yeah, let the melee stay in. Yup. That's how you min-max. All right, Newman has Morchok at 50%. And, okay, they're like... So, progress is like 5% behind. Can you do a small reminder in the strat? Bro, I wish I would have looked at it before this because I completely forget. Like, I don't remember. All I know is, Zon'ozz, one of the next 2 fights, not the blood one, but the other one, you can, like, super cheese damage buffs. I'm looking to see if they do something pretty fun there. Also, Hagara, you might see some really interesting strats.
Morchok Crystal. Kokrom Crystal.
Fuck, chat. I have a problem. We're watching this and I'm hyped, but I need to go eat fruit. I need to eat a lot of fruit.
Kokrom Crystal.
Do I go get fruit in between this boss? I have fruit in the fridge, but I should have got it before this. Definitely go now. Trash takes forever. Bro, the boss is not over. We need to know who's in the lead. Progress. Progress is wiping the Morchok. No way. What the fuck? Dude, L progress. L progress. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Furious.
That is tough. All right. Looks like Morchok is dying. I'm going to go get my fruit now. Minnesota.
Use Aura Mastery. Morchok Crystal.
Guys, I got fruit in record speed. Holy shit. That was quick. I know that was fast as fuck. That's just how fast I run. Yep. You can believe whatever you want. Maybe my girlfriend heard me saying I needed fruit and she had it for me. Or I ran really fast. You can believe whatever. Both are equally likely. Okay, is Morchok the greatest first boss of all time? Because I believe it's the first boss in Race to World First Classic history that has wiped one of the top couple teams. Is Morchok the GOAT? That's the question. By the way, this is trash they're doing right now. Pulling all this trash is insane, by the way. It is actually very likely they can wipe here. I don't know if they pulled all of it or half, but this used to... If you pulled this whole room, you just died. Not with demo locks? Yeah. Dude, imagine being a globule. Like, imagine you can be spawned in to the earth being anything. Like a human, a rat, a tree. And you get spawned in as a glob. That's a crazy low roll. You're just a fucking glob. Glob damn. Actually, globs are probably hella stupid, so it'd be pretty fun. I feel like you have a happier life the more stupid you are. So there's an angle where being a glob goes crazy. All right, checking progress. They are currently on Morchok and not wiping. W. So Newman's far in the... Is there like another guild going for the first clear? You always seem pretty happy, Max. Oh, thank you. Wait, are you calling me stupid? Fuck, I'm pretty sure you just called me stupid insane, and I was so stupid that I didn't even realize it and said thank you. That's insane. I feel bad now. God damn, I just got owned. I'm a fucking glob, bro. All right. They just pulled this boss. I'm going to do one quick progress check. Looks like they're easy killing. Whole raid's alive. Back to Newman. All right. We are watching Yorsaj.
Kill green.
And a Weakor told them to kill green. And Weakors are ruining my game. And, okay, so what is it? You have to kill... You kill one. And, oh, this is a great fucking Weakor, by the way. Look at this Weakor at the top. So this is like the Weakor that caused you to spread out. So they're killing that one so they know they're going to deal with raid damage, adds, and being close to the boss. I think that's how it works. Or maybe you deal with the one you kill. That's a really... Whoever made Weakors for this guild, this is like a really, really, really fucking well-made Weakor. Like, so fucking good. It's not too much. It's like out of your way, but like extremely informative, clean.
Use Forum Mastery.
Such a good fight. You know what I'm saying? For like a second boss, this is goated. Although I am a sucker for raid fights where you can choose your path, you know? I'm a sucker for raid fights where you can have a different strat. Like this fight or Lihivam or kind of Kurog, but not really. You know, just stuff where you can build the boss. Love that shit.
Kill yellow.
Lamau, Foji yoinked the free Liquid Weakoras and made paid Wrath Weakoras based on them. Dude, W grift. That's a good grift. Okay, so now they're killing raid damage. They're going to get adds, healing debuff, and mana voids. I don't remember what the mana voids did. Does that just drain all your healer's mana, or do you have to dodge it? Let's see if we can see it. So the adds we saw last time, the healing debuff is just the 25-second debuff you see on everyone. What are the mana voids? I don't remember what this is. Does it just suck mana? We're not really... Oh, yeah, his mana just went to 0. But he's gaining a ton of mana now. Do you have to kill the mana void? Does it suck the mana from the closest target? If you kill it, you get it back. Well, it looks like they don't really need it. They're chilling. It looks like they probably just like mana potted or something right as soon as it sucked.
Kill yellow.
Old combustion owns take me back. Bro, you're fucking old. Remember that. You're fucking old, man. That's all it is. Dude, I'm fucking old. I got more old yesterday. Did I get more old yesterday, or is time a constant linear thing? Think about it. I didn't really get any older yesterday. I got 1 day older yesterday. That's all. Other guild check? You're right. They could have gone to Zon'ozz. I think they are going to Zon'ozz. So they're going to a different boss, which will kind of be interesting. That's actually really good for watching, because we'll be able to instantly like end this boss and start a new one. Actually, I think they're on the fight. You're getting older right now? Shut up. This is either the trash or the boss, because the boss looks really similar to this. It's trash, I think. It's one of those things where the trash teaches you the boss.
Kill yellow.
Progress is in 5th place right now. Yeah, it's not surprising because they wiped. Who's the... Okay, well, who's like the... I mean, Newman are the reigning champions, so we're going to watch them until they wipe, probably. Because after Zon'ozz, the raid is in a straight line. So after like the boss they do after this, they're going like directly forward. You know what I'm really surprised about? They're actually killing these ads. So I don't remember if there was a mechanic on this fight where if he absorbed 4 blobs, he killed you. Because like they're losing a lot of boss damage by swapping to the ads. I was actually interested in seeing if like maybe a strat could have been you don't kill the ads, just pump boss. You kill it like one set earlier. But maybe there's a punish. I don't remember. Maybe there's a punish on this fight where you actually the boss like kills you if you do that. I mean, they're getting pretty low. Like maybe it's just a danger thing. Like basically the chance of wiping isn't worth the... Ooh, good use of Spirit Link here. This is a... You guys remember how people like overhype Spirit Link? This is an example of a fight where Spirit Link is extremely fucking good because of this debuff. This is like an all-time, like top 10 Spirit Link fight probably in the history of WoW. Five big booms for Spirit Link here. Boom, boom, boom. That was only 3. Boom. Dude, I hope you guys like the 5 big booms bit because that will be a I don't always know this because Race to World first bits kind of just like happen out of nowhere, but I can promise you there will be a lot of booms happening during this raid. The guild is a big fan of the Costco guys. So now the boss is at 6%. Are they getting... Oh, they're not even going to get another set of oozes. But they killed one this time. Berserks in 3 minutes. That's easy. Okay, going over to check progress. So progress is on Zon'ozz. This is a really interesting fight. There's like a damage amp you can control. I forget really how. Ooh, that mage cauterized and then blocked. There's a bunch of ads. I don't remember what the orbs do. But they have a bunch of really good ads on this. Oh, the fight's way lower too. Is it touching the orbs gives you the damage increase? Or no, you run it into the boss at some point to like phase him. But like if you do it at the wrong time, Tentacle Disco Party, that's cool. So this is like the intermission. Every bounce increases its damage. But then you eventually want to send it into the boss though. It's kind of a bop. This is good raiding music. Like, I would never listen to this music when I'm not WoW raiding, but I would when WoW raiding. So is he going to spawn another orb? They had a really interesting orb week aura. That. So, like... I'm pretty sure, like, you can't make weak auras that look like this in current. You guys remember the change after Star Augur where you could no longer, like, make weak auras work off nameplates and stuff? Is that change not in the classic version of weak auras? Wasn't that on Gul'dan? If you remember. I don't remember Exorcist on Gul'dan. Weak auras. I only remember that it was like Star Augur, the like nameplate auras for Star Augur. After that tier got nerfed, and they kind of specifically referenced that. But basically what I'm saying is I could be wrong, but that orb weak aura that was just on the screen, I am pretty sure you can't do anything like that in current. Keep in mind, I'm not the smartest weak aura guy. I don't really know how weak auras work outside of me telling someone to make one exactly how I want it. But like, I don't know that. It's interesting that they allowed weak auras to exist in Classic, but didn't just put in the same restrictions they put in on retail. So you can actually just have more broken weak auras in Classic. No, Max, I do not remember that change after Star Augur. I am a child. Bro, none of you are children. There is no way any of you in this stream are younger than, like, 20. There's no way. Like, what are you doing right now? go watch a Marvel Rival streamer like do the skibbity or whatever. Come on, what are we doing? Ohio or whatever. Okay, so that's what that boss looks like. And now this, have they even pulled it yet? So Zon'ozz looks like it's a bit faster than Yorsaj. Please do not write you're underage. Yeah, you're probably right. You don't want to show you're underage so you don't get targeted by people. But the thing is everyone in the chat right now saying they're 17 is at least 40. So you'd be messaging the wrong person. You're gonna get into some. You're in bigger danger than.
Orb soon. Void orb.
Max, you're baiting so many people to get banned for joking about being underage. Do you think they'll ban me if I do it? Like if I rip an I'm 16 in chat? Do you think Blizzard will, or Blizzard, do you think Twitch is going to send me to the realm?
Shadows on you. Bounce.
All right. Dude, big fan of Nestor's. I need this playlist. I might rip this for one of the days during the race. Of course we don't have a fucking playlist link. Look at that. Fuck, man. Why do I have a train next to my thing? I'm the current hype train conductor? Why? Wait. What does this mean? Why am I the... Oh, because am I the top... I'm the top sub gifter all time. Dude, W me. That's good. Woo. All right. Choo-choo looking ass. Are you talking to me? Please don't say that. All right. Newman is... looking good. So let's see if they also have an extremely obnoxious orb weak aura. I think it's the boss. If I remember how it works, I think it is you bounce the ball and it does more damage to you, but when you hit the boss, depending on how many times you bounce it, it gives the boss a damage amp. But you need to send it in at some point or you wipe. I'm reaching into another like 10 years ago brain, but or 15 years ago, long time ago. Wait, oh my god, progress wiped again. Bro, they're so tilted. Please tell me they have comms on. They have comms on? They do not. I don't know why. Dude, am I an agent of chaos? How come I see a guild wipe 2 times and I'm like, I have to hear their comms? That's so not good, you know? Okay, they don't have a crazy weak aura. I like this though. Look at this. It's on CD. Okay, this guild has sick fucking weak auras. This is an insane weak aura. This is sick. Like, this is so fucking good. This guy is a fucking artist. That is actually so sick.
Phase 2.
It's just that all of it is so clean, dude. I love looking at weak. There's a couple weak auras we yoinked from Echo last year that I liked. Echo had a really good weak aura last year. And I think they've been using it for a while. They basically, it's just like a little bar that ticks down that says raid damage.
Phase 1.
And it sounds so small, but I think on every single fight having a weak aura that, like, anytime raid damage is going to do like more than 40% of your HP, for example, if you always have the same element on your screen, you don't worry about boss timers. You're always looking for the same UI element. So like you see this bar and immediately your brain knows like, oh, I'm about to get shit on. What's my HP at? I think standardizing that is very smart. And they did that last year. Shit's good. Well, I think they've done that before, but I just saw it last year, specifically on one fight. I was like, that's going to be so good. Sorry, I'm just nutting over this guy's weak auras, but I just... There's ways where you can do weak auras where they're too much or too little. Tracking too many things. Whether they're clean or messy. And just all the weak auras are super clean, very informative, and relevant for the fight. And just... They're ones that are, like, good to have on everyone's screen. It's just good shit. Usually his shit is too much. Well, okay... Maybe you guys just are looking at it wrong. Like, I'll give an example. Some people download the Liquid Weak Aura pack and they're like, there's too much shit on my screen. But, like, you shouldn't use all of it. It's just there as an option. You don't need to have all of it on. Like, for example, when we give our players the Weak Aura pack, everything is turned off except for required ones, which is, like, probably like 5% of them. And then they just turn on the stuff they want. But when you download the Liquid pack, it has them all on by default. So, like, my biggest suggestion would be turning them all off and only turn ones on that you feel like it's something you want to be more aware of. So maybe it's like that with Foji. Maybe if you're downloading the Foji pack, maybe... Wait, there's zoning... Is zoning out faster than the RP to Hagara? What is this technology? Because, like, after that, you just go take a little flight path and then it does some RP. You know what I bet they have? I bet they have one person going and doing the RP. And then they're all zoning out. Oh, no, they're not even zoning out. I thought they were going to do some, like, instance resetting shit. Okay, so they're just... They're going to summon the person... Wait, what the fuck are they? Why would they need to summon the person back if they started the RP? So they have a weak aura to show the RP timer. That's good. Going to the portal is faster. Oh, okay. Fireworks! Yay! Well, they don't have to do Ultraxion trash yet because it's not Ultraxion time. Wait, they made the RP... Oh, they just did some shit. Okay, this is another... I think Hagara is an awesome fight. I think Hagara is so good. Progress check. Okay, on your Saj. Okay, I think the boss... I think there's multiple... Yeah, there's 2 more ad sets. Dude, do you remember when you guys used to be the raider that, like, popped all their CDs and went hard as fuck on trash just because you played this game for many reasons, but the number one is you just gotta see your name at the top of the meter, even in some meaningless shit like this, just to let everyone know that you're the shit. You know what I mean? Go pot on that shit, too. I used to do that shit. That used to be the only thing that mattered to me in my entire life was being number 1 on the damage meter. Max, what did you think of Kata class design? I don't know. Better than Wrath, worse than Mop. And then comparing it to like now is like just I think comparing like class design across like 10 even like 5+ years of time is just like, so you're just making shit up. The game changes all the time. Max, after all these years, what do you consider your main now? Bro, I main a chair. I just sit in a chair and yell at people. I main yapping. Dude, I fucking love demeaning my raiders when they do something wrong. Like, they already know they did wrong. 100,000 people just watched them fuck up, and I'm just like, fuck you. Yeah. You should feel bad. That actually makes people play way better, by the way.
Use Horn Mastery. Lightning Phase.
Yep, lightning phase. Okay, I'm realizing now that I don't remember what this boss does, because I didn't remember this phase even. No, yes I do, and then you have to get in a line. You have to do a line to each conduit to get it back to the middle.
Use person.
Yep, okay. I remembered it right in the nick of time. And you have to kill that ad close enough to the middle to where it chains to all 4 sides.
Use hand sack.
When your DK gripped the add-on to Queen at 5%. Yeah, bro. When Atlas made that mistake, obviously he felt so bad about that. But what was so funny is, like, Liquid is doing content during the entire event. They have, like, a content team, and they're trying to, like, make content and shit. So someone was, like, coming around during that day, and they were making people do TikToks. And what the TikTok was, like, they found a picture of you when you were a kid, and they just want you to react to the picture. And it's, like, fine content, whatever, but, like, the funniest shit ever is that pull right after when Atlas accidentally A-bombs limbed. The guy didn't know and came right up to Atlas and was like, hey man, react to this picture, and he was so dead inside because he just wiped us. So if you guys ever see a TikTok or whatever with Atlas or like a bunch of people reacting to their childhood photos, just know that Atlas's was after like the biggest mistake he's made in years. And they made him fucking like do content. It's so funny. Wait, there's a safe spot for the ice dance? What is this fucking nonsense? Bro. How did I not know about this back then? I mean, I wasn't a ranged, so maybe it didn't matter, but did range do this back then? Atlas is still the splits goat, though. That's actually true. So Atlas has led one of our split groups for the past like 4 years, and his group is the first to finish every single time. He is the splits goat.
Use hand sack. Ice tomb beacons.
Did the content people understand their bad timing?
Ken wall.
I don't know. I don't think they really know what's going on. They're just like making content. That's what the players are talking about when they say they're shooters. That just means someone's got a camera near them of some kind, and they're trying to shoot some content.
Use foreign mastery. Pass loot.
That bit always goes over so poorly because like people don't get our guild who watch the race world first because there's just so many people watching it. So the like race will start, and then the very first day, Shaq and Fired Up are like, we have shooters, and then the entire chat is like, what the fuck? They don't know what they're talking about. Insta loot pass week, Aura? Oh yeah. Max, do you ever miss being involved in the race as one of the 20? Anytime I feel like I miss that, I would think about how many characters I would have to maintain for 6 months, and I immediately don't miss it anymore, to be completely honest with you. I wonder when that's going to hit its critical mass. I wonder, because like every race, the effort is more than the previous one. It's never gone down, ever. I wonder when the amount of effort you spend in between raids reaches a point where your best players start quitting because of it. Whenever that happens is when it'll start going down. Player union. Yo, dude, we do have a union. Actually, I think our union died. Because Kingfly was the leader of the union, and I think he just gave up. Ben and Evade. That's different. So when I say things have increased, like what I'm saying is players being like, hey, I don't want 15 characters, but I can do 10. Ben wants to have literally like 4 guys. That's not possible. Same with Evade. Evade wants to have 1 character. So while you could make the argument, it's like so far gone from them playing that, yeah. Oh, dude's frapsing. All right, RP starting. Let's go. Kill these Dargans. This used to be, before Zool, I think this was commonly referred to like the worst trash of all time, Ultraxion trash. Because like super slow, melee can't do anything until they come down. It's just like a timed, I think it's just straight up, it just takes 3 minutes to do this. I mean, Zool was just simply worse. How long would a raid tier extend if splits were banned? You want to know the funny thing? I actually don't think it would really extend it at all, because if you think about it, Blizzard tunes these fights for exactly as much gear as we have, you know? Like, if we're doing a boss like Nexus Princess or something, and we're all alive to the end and the boss is at 20%, like, they're going to make the boss killable, you know? So, like, if we went in without splits and all the guilds agreed to not do it, the reality is they'd probably tune down the bosses to what we have, most likely, and then the raids would be way easier for everyone else. Low-key, this doesn't sound like it has a lot of downsides. The only downside is you plan on doing this, and you actually do get all 3 guilds to agree, which would never happen. And then this would happen. But then what happens if Blizzard, like, calls your bluff and doesn't do that, and you're just sitting there with terrible gear fighting an unkillable boss until the reset comes around? That would be... That would be extremely tragic. Sounds like you're griefing us all. It's possible. Max, your Vibey YB playlist is one of the best of all time. Yeah, I know, dude. It's fucking hype. Max, can you explain what splits are? No, I don't want to do that. It's just getting gear, man. That's all it is. Quick progress check. We can, but I'm pretty sure Newman is hella in the lead right now. Progress is killing Hagara right now, which means they're gonna just be starting Ultraxion trash. They're probably 5 minutes behind. I think Spine of Deathwing is gonna be like the big thing here. Ultraxion's interesting. So Ultraxion was the original, like, was probably the best patchwork fight they've done since patchwork until... What was the next best patchwork fight, actually? Like, so people will remember, like, Sludge Fist, for example. Sludge Fist is, like, the best version of patchwork, probably. But, like, what is... Oh, until Butcher and WoD. Yeah, Butcher, until Butcher. You're right. Yeah, Butcher was, like, the best since Ultraxion. But Ultraxion was, like, the best patchwork fight all the way through MoP. Like, really, really good. Okay, so it's going active. So this fight is really simple. You just, like, do damn. It does huge damage to you, so it's just a big damage and healing check, and then there you have an extra action button, and there's just assigned times where groups at a time need to go down. So, for example, all these people right now are in, like, this extra phase where they can't hit the boss. There's, like, some mechanic that hits you, and if you don't have the right amount of people down, you die, and that's it. That's basically the whole fight. I think it's Hour of Twilight. I think every Hour of Twilight, you need to send down a group of people. This is a great weak aura as well. I know you guys are probably getting tired of me saying that. So it's easy Anduin. This fight is nothing like Anduin. Healers went down to not get Bloodlust early. Ooh, strats.
Spooky sack. Twilight soon.
Spooky sack.
Stay up.
Yep, and then you go... Wait, they caughted from that? I wonder if that was intentional. I mean, it probably was. They, like, send less people, because, like, all 3 mages that went down cauterized. So that had to be intentional. I just wonder what the alternative was. And then they go down for the under debuff. It's opposite of how you were thinking. It is not a damage split. Oh, everyone else goes down. And only those people stay up. That's what it is? Use. Oh, that's what it is. Yep. So the damage gets pretty real at the end, though. I wonder if Ultraxion might actually... Like, I think mechanically this fight is so simple, but I could see having, like, day 1 gear. I could see Ultraxion going wrong, for sure. There's just a lot of damage. This was also, if I remember, Holy Pallies were so broken for this. Do they have 3 blood decays for permavamp blood on the raid? Well, they wouldn't have been able to have... So you can't have tier sets yet, right? If I'm correct, don't all the difficulties come out at once in Classic? Or was there a week of, like, normal before this? You can? You can have LFR tier? Yeah, but... They added LFR tier to dungeons. Yeah, but, like, would they have had time to farm it before this raid came out? 2 days of dungeon grinding could get tier. Okay, if they have tier, that's insane. So if you guys are not aware, some of the most broken tank tier sets to ever exist were in Dragon Soul. It basically turned your, like, personal raid cooldown or personal cooldown for yourself into something that went on the whole raid. So if you shield walled, the whole raid would get shield wall. If you, I think it turned into Might of Ursoc and Mop. What was it? Was it Frenzied Regen? Was it Frenzied Regen in this tier for Guardian? Like, Guardian Druid had an insane one. Oh, shield block. Yeah, yeah. The blood decay is raid health. Yeah, I mean, that's so broken. Wait, they're running... Wait, do you guys notice they're running 3 blood decays for that exact reason? They're literally just rotating Vamp Blood. That's so... Yeah, I mean, they're so OP. I can't remember a time where tank tier was ever as good as it was here. Max, mechanically, is this more difficult than Ansarek? This fight? Yeah, for sure. It's fucking crazy good.
Use.
I'm gonna guess if I don't know if this is like different tuning than I remember, but like I feel like the Paladin should come in crazy here. Look at the raid damage, dude. This was like the OG healing check. Oh, he still has Aura Mastery. Isn't this Aura Mastery the healing one? Shaman Mastery goes crazy. Yeet. Oh, here we go. Paladin's catching up. Oh, Paladin number 1. I called it. I fucking called it, chat. Paladin domination.
Lust healers.
Oh yeah, Holy Radiance. That's the spell. Oh, and the healers got lusted at the end. That's smart. That's why they did that thing at the beginning. Damn. Double Paladin on top. God, I was so right. Maybe a mount? Maybe a mount right here? Experiment 1B or 12B or whatever? Alright, now this is probably my favorite boss of the raid coming up. I love War Master Blackhorn. I think this was a great encounter. Alright, so they 3-tanked that fight. I wonder if this team's doing the same. Like, the reason why they did that is because Unholy can't do damage. but they chose to not swap someone out. So Progress should kill Ultraxion faster because of that, but also maybe it doesn't matter. So many mages, dude. Who gets priority on Cunning of the Cruel? See, I don't remember how good Cunning of the Cruel was for Raiders. I know it was super broken in RBGs. Like, so broken in RBGs. But I don't know if it was, like, super bis in Raid. Maybe it was. RBGs? Okay, first of all, RBGs were so fun in Kata. Second, it actually was. If you ever queued into an RBG in Kata with a team of daughters that had Cunning of the Cruel, it was over. Like, it was GG. You could not win. A team of daughters? Oh, come on. You know what I meant. Max, realistically, imagining the game like 5 expansions from now, how much harder do you think the raids can get from where they are now? I don't know. I think this upcoming raid is going to be easier than the previous one. I think there's definitely going to be a snapback from the last 2. But, like, historically, they have gotten harder over time. But, like, there was tiers and expansions where they got way harder and some where they haven't gone. Like, for example, I bet the, like, raids got way harder from Kata to Legion than they will from, like, Legion till now. Or, like, Nerebar Palace till 6 years from now. Like, I bet it won't ramp that much.
Big soap.
It won't ramp as much. Hey, Max, am I allowed to ask you if you've ever eaten a salad? Yeah, I don't like salads, though, bro. Every time I'm eating a salad, I'm unhappy. I've eaten some good salads, but it's just like, I'd rather eat some other shit, you feel me? Also, like, I think salads are just super overrated anyway. Like, if you're trying to, like, lose weight, the idea where it's like, I need to eat a salad, like, you can eat whatever the fuck you want, just in moderation. Chilling.
Big soak.
Is he calling? I don't know. He might have been trying to call me fat. I'm not sure. I am definitely not right now. I'm in insane shape right now. But hey, I've dropped 50 pounds, and zero salads were consumed in that amount of time. Progress check. They're about to kill Ultraxion. I think Newman's just turbo in the lead right now.
Use Foreign Mastery.
The Ozempic diet? No. I'm doing the 1 to 2 hockey games a day diet. While eating relatively... Well, I mean, okay. I'm not going to imply that it was only hockey. I just also... I mean, I did something that I think most people would never do. Which is I ate the exact same amount of... like carbs, fats, and proteins every day for at least, I think it was like 5 to 6 months, while also exercising an incredibly large amount. That was the big thing, which is pretty psycho. This is not like Gunship at all. I mean, it's on a ship. That's not true. Okay. Saying this is not like Gunship at all, I feel like is a little disingenuous. Because if you were to just take a screenshot of this fight to someone who played in Wrath, or really someone who played in all expansions, and you're like, what is this fight like? They'd probably just say Gunship because you're just on a ship, you know? And there's cannons. There's cannons on the ship. So the video was a lie. They do let you out for hockey. No, they let my Audi. I feel like so many... Well, I mean, I was about to say, I feel like so many people who watched the Race to World First announcement didn't get Severance, but, like, obviously that's true because, like, it's on an extremely neat... Severance is one of the best shows on TV.
but it's also on an extremely niche streaming service that almost no one has. Like, someone asked why in that video I left with the box but didn't come back with it. Well, it's like literally 5 months of time have passed since the last time I came in the door. It's just that version of myself doesn't remember it. But trying to explain someone the plot of Severance is like, what? No way he just said Apple is niche. Bro, Apple TV is one of the least subscribed streaming services of all of them. It's like extremely small compared to others. It is a niche streaming service, straight up. Like, it's extremely niche. It also specializes in like prestige television, which is something that doesn't appeal to the wide like audience. It's like Apple TV is like the opposite of Netflix in its content, which some people love that. I love that, but like that's not what the majority of people want.
Shockwave soon.
Yeah, Apple TV is like the new HBO. Bro just said prestige television. Yeah, it's a thing. That is it has a term.
Shockwave soon.
So why not go with something more recognizable? What, for the Race World First announcement? I don't know. Maybe the point of it wasn't to be super recognizable. We just wanted to make something really cool. What's wrong with that, you know? What's wrong with making something really cool? I like stuff that's really cool. For real though, how many times did you rub THD's picture? I only probably did like 4 or 5 takes of that. All right, we have spine.
Left roll. Grasped. Rolled.
It's rolled. We can move out. So I'm interested to see if they're gonna have a blood tank, or if they just like kind of shit on him.
Grip soon.
What opened the thing? Didn't you have to kill the amalgamations? Killing the amalgamations is what opened the spine. And I'm sure they're going to try to one phase. Well, you can only one phase. Okay, how it used to be is you could only one phase them with lust. And you usually had to 2 phase all of them, but I wonder if they hyper optimize their comp. Because like the amount of mages they're running right now isn't even more than like what you ran for World First back then. Get 9 stacks on the amalgam for the... Yeah, okay. Surely all the mages have the staff? Yeah, I'm sure. During Prague, it wasn't one phaseable even with lust.
Grip soon.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, let's see what they got. So they're stopping DPS fully on the amalgamation. They're probably going to do one more roll. Or they maybe already did the last one. Then they're going to drag it over all the stacks.
Grip soon.
It has 9 stacks. You can kill it now. And now they're getting a burn phase. Alright, let's see how much damage they can do here. Hopefully targeting macros. Oh. I mean, he's a healer, so it doesn't matter. But like, this is a fight where having a targeting macro is so broken, and clicking on the thing is very bad. You're just losing a global, most likely. Okay, easily in killable range. They'll have execute next time from like a decent amount of their raid comp, and they won't need as many cooldowns. So the fight is just repeating that over and over again, except every time you knock a plate off his back, there's like more like little tentacles and holes and like bloods you have to deal with. The blood spawn faster, yeah. So like what you used to do is you killed, because when you kill a blood, it like does raid damage, right? Yeah, so you didn't want to like kill a million of them. You didn't want to like AoE all the bloods. You would just die. But also like the kiting tank job was really difficult. Like, do they have 3 tanks? They do. They have 2 druids. Oh, dude, I loved doing this on druid, but so many people did it on warrior because of the block mechanic. But I always thought druids were better because they were more mobile. So they have 9 residue already.
Nuclear blast. Use foreign mastery.
Also, Skull Bash was great. So, like, what I did was I went to the back, I Skull Bashed the far tentacle. You could, like, wild charge across. Or, like, just use the bear charge. You had, like, multiple ways of moving that were just way better. You could kite it as any tank. I just mained Druid at the time, so I found Druid to be really fun.
Grip soon.
Do you remember the Sko Rage video? Oh, yeah, the Onk. Yeah, he was like, Onk, asshole. That was pretty legendary. So like right now, if you were to just AoE all these bloods, they're gonna take a bit of raid damage, but it looks like they're prepared for it. Ready? Yeah, they barriered it. Wait, so they're instantly opening it then. They should have 9 residue. They still need to kill one? Oh no, there's 1 residue there. So they're gonna instantly open the plate here because of the amount of bloods. So this is interesting. Oh wait, they have multiple. Wait, they lost those amalgs though. Maybe that was a. Oh, maybe they just did that to clear up the fight. That's kind of interesting.
Grip soon.
Yeah, they're not kiting. Usually the kiting starts on the next part, but I could definitely see them not kiting. Just like heal the guy. Max, it looks like progress made up ground. They're only a plate behind now. Yeah, in this fight, that's a lot of... I mean, they've been roughly that far behind the whole time. Oh, no, you're right. They've gained minutes. They're like 2.5 minutes behind. So they're 5 minutes into the fight, and they are just... Okay, yeah, so they're like 4 minutes behind. It's the same. Does he have the residue yet? Yeah, he does. So he's pulling it over.
Nuclear blast.
It's crazy how the strat hasn't changed in so many years. This is like exactly what you used to do. You had the tank drag it over, low HP. I think they might be able to one bang with Lust. I don't know. Like you weren't able to do that in progression back in the day, but like I don't know. I feel like with a stacked comp, everything going right, you would definitely do it on the third one if anything. Usually people lusted on the second pop of the third one, but like why not do it on the first? You know, unless like cooldowns lined up better. Okay, so now is where back in the day you would start like kiting a little bit, but it seems more controlled here, which is definitely like that makes sense.
Grip soon.
Every caster has a legendary. I don't think that was a thing back then. That was a thing for the top guilds. So like Blood Legion, for example, had I think 5 mages with the staff. They recruited like 3 mages from other guilds that had gotten the staff in the farm period. It was very much a thing. It was actually a really controversial farm period because there was an insane amount of poaching because of the legendary. They stole logos. Yeah, that was when logos joined the guild, yeah.
Grip soon.
All right, pull it across. Wait, are you gonna do it during the grip? That's bad. Or does nuclear blast stop the grip? It must. It must stop the mechanics when it comes out. Okay, they easily kill it. I'm interested to see, number one, if they start kiting. Or if if they one pop, both things.
Grip soon.
So their melee are going and killing the tentacle. First thing. They're getting some extra amalgamations from this. They're going to roll all of them off except for the one they want to kill.
Left roll.
So they're going to roll off all the amalgs here.
Grasped.
Except for the last corruption tentacle. But like right here, so they're just going to... Yeah, I kind of like the idea of just tanking it, honestly. It's just like way more controlled and the ads are in the right spot. So what you used to do here is you had 3 tanks. You had one tank the amalg. The other would be taunting bloods off of the pack into the spot to die. And the third person would be running around in a circle. But they're just fucking man-moding it, which is... Definitely makes sense. That's an example of players being better now than they used to be. Also better classes. People like Prot Warrior here, but Guardian's just better. If I'm them, I Bloodlust on the first plate, not the second, and I try to one phase. Even if you can't one phase, I would still Lust on the first. I just want to see how close they can get. Every cooldown Lust, I think it's... I want to say it's possible. The only thing that might not make it possible is they don't have Rogues the Daggers yet, because they didn't have like the week of normal ahead of time.
Grip soon.
Oh, they are kiting now. We'll see if he's doing my route. I would get them there. I would get a stun. I would wild charge or skull bash to the back. Oh, they're kiting new. Yeah, this is good. This is... Yeah, okay.
Grip soon. Nuclear blast.
You don't want those ones to die over there either. Okay, Lust? Yeah, they lusted. They lusted. Okay, let's see if they can pop this. I think they can. Oh, that Paladin's not even touching it. That feels like they're not very confident on it. Yeah, there's 0 chance. It looks like they're lusting, but they're not even attacking the tendon. Bro, their tendon damage with Lust was trash. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so that's that means they definitely weren't trying to one tank. They probably had some of their DPS not even touch it. That was bad. I don't think it was bad. Either they had no cooldowns there, or they had a bunch of their DPS not hitting it, and they had them pre-killing the Bloods for the next set, just to finish the fight as soon as possible. Wait, someone said progress one phase the first one with no Lust. Oh, word? Wait, they're about to go to... I'm going to watch progress here for a second. Looks like they're about to go again. This is the second plate.
Grip soon.
Not true. Someone lied? W lie? They have literally 10 mages. All right, this is the second one. Let's see if they can do it again. Or if they even did it at all. They're not too far off if they have execute. It's slowing down. They definitely fucking destroyed that thing, though. Okay, anyways, back to Newman. Progress is supposed to win ground here because they're less healing it. Oh, that makes sense. All right, here we go. This is the end of the fight here for... As long as they don't have, like, a kiting tank death here, this is guaranteed dead. Because now everyone's just finishing the fight.
Grip soon.
I think they got it easy. Yeah. W. All right, and now you're going to watch Madness. Okay, Madness... Maybe, like, everyone's opinion of Madness is, like, it was too easy, but, like, try to take your eyes off the easy part and just watch it, because I think it looks so cool. I think this fight is one of the coolest looking fights. It's just a bunch of tentacles. Bro, just watch it. It's hype. So there's like four platforms. I forget exactly how you split up the raid. Oh yeah, so they started on another one and now they're coming over. Oh yeah, these were the tank tentacles. You had to tank these. There was like the little blood pustules. I think people are stacking in groups, it looks like. I wonder exactly why. Is it because that frontal is going to hit a group of people or something and you need to split it? Oh no, they're spawning the... What does that gold thing do? Dude, I don't remember what the fuck happens here. They don't want the whole raid to get hit by the slam for healing reasons.
Bolt incoming.
Oh yeah, it slows down the bolt. That's what it is.
1. Impale.
I didn't even remember the bloods.
Parasite soon. Parasite on Bloodaloo.
So we're spawning a parasite. I don't remember exactly how the parasites work. It's spawning in 3, 2, 1, and you have to... Oh, you have to burn the parasite on top of the thing to do damage to the boss, right? That's what it is? You have to beat unstable corruption, and then as soon as that dies, it's like a boss burn phase, I think. And go. I think. Or no, maybe it's already out?
Tentacles. Dream now.
Oh no, now they're blasting it. Oh, because the boss, whoever that is helping you do damn to it. Where the fuck is that fire? Bro, I'm so confused. By the way, I haven't checked, by the way. Is this boss, is Newman in the lead? Like, I know they're ahead of progress, but are they ahead of everybody else? It's all the dragon aspects? Oh, okay. It's like Thrall, Jaina. Yeah. Okay, we're going all the way to the left.
Parasite soon.
Sang says, I remember everything here. Bro, you didn't. No, you do not. Bro, are you even raiding right now? Are you even... 1 second.
Parasite explodes in 3. Impale.
Are you even out here doing this shit? This was one of the first choose your own paths, and it was probably fun to progress like you guys had on Lihivum. Yep. Lihivum, one of the biggest bangers that no one thinks is a banger. Hi, Reptar. You're a dog. Yeah. Hello. Hi, Rep. Hi, baby boy.
Impale. Bolt incoming.
This was a choose your own path, but there was only really one viable path.
Parasite soon. Parasite onto board.
Is that true?
Parasite explodes in 3.
I mean, that might be true. It was just so long ago. Like, a lot of times when there's a choose your own path, but everyone ends up doing the same path, everyone's like, well, of course, this is the way easier one, but you don't even know how hard the other one is because you never did it.
Tentacles.
But you could be right, though. Max, did you say you hated Nyalotha? Nah. Progress killed Spine. Oh, Sang said there actually is only one order. Wait, so people in chat are just making this shit up? That's insane.
Tentacles.
Oh yeah, you had to kill those blistering tentacles really fast. Max, are you hyped for the finals game tonight? US versus Canada. Yes, I am. Very much so. I'm making my whole day around it.
Parasite soon.
How are you guys feeling about PB&J after this? That sounded insane. Feeling like some... When was the last time you guys had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? That's all I'm saying.
Impale.
Wait, is that cast gonna go off? Oh. Okay, maybe that was on purpose, but that was point 2 right there. Strawberry jelly is good, yeah. Also, crunchy peanut butter sucks. What are we doing? What are we doing out here?
Impale.
Creamy only.
Bolt incoming.
Fuck crunchy. Fuck it.
Parasite soon. Parasite on black-eyed reef. Parasite
Glorp?
explodes in 3.
All right. Is this the end of the fight yet? Come on, Newman. Just go ahead and win. Bro, if I wanted to eat something crunchy, I would just eat rocks. What the fuck? Sorry, that was just so stupid. I couldn't even do it. That made no sense. All good. Dude, these blisterings are so spread out. Fucking love rocks. Yeah, dude, my character's Earthen in game. Which I didn't even realize. Apparently, Earthen fucking sucks. But I eat rocks, so that's good.
Tentacles. Use foreign mastery.
So Cataclysm, is that the time you have until to kill the arm tentacle? Sang, since you remember everything? All right, last phase, I think. Last phase, boys. Wait, I don't remember doing the one all the way over here at the end. Maybe I do. This one is like way different phase. Oh, there's one more? That's what it is. Okay, that's why. You go back after this.
Parasite soon. Parasite
This one, the Elementum Bolt will blow up. Big boom, big boom, big boom. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was kind of not glazing, but I was a Madness of Deathwing Devil's Advocate arguer earlier, and this shit looks like it kind of stinks for real. Not gonna lie, but back then it seemed cool, and I had nostalgia. Is that so wrong? Is that so wrong? Huh?
Bolt incoming.
Here comes the boom, boys.
Personal. Impale.
Does it do a frontal right after? That could be so deadly. No, it's like kind of spread out. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, they had to use like everything there. Big boom.
Parasite soon. Parasite on Fajajano. Parasite explodes in 3.
All right, little too robot-y here. The music was hitting until now. It's not like it's not hitting, but I feel like if I was some kind of household appliance, this would go way harder for me right now. like a dryer with a big old wet blanket in it, just like bouncing up and down. All right, Sang is saying big DPS check here. This looks easy, Sang. They have 45 seconds. This shit's piss. This is easy.
Tentacles.
Max, can you turn on Optimus Prime dubstep on YouTube? What? Yeah, sure, fuck it. That sounds stupid. Alright, I'm turning something on. I have no idea what's about to happen, but I'm fucking... What is this? It's 14 years ago, bro. I mean, is it just gonna say an Optimus Prime quote and then just play shitty dubstep?
My name is Optimus Prime.
That's exactly what it's gonna do. Okay. Okay. So stupid. 5 big booms.
Optimus Prime.
Why do you even know this exists, man? Why, man?
Robotic organisms from the planet Cybertron. My name is Optimus Prime.
This isn't even good dubstep. Dude, that makes it even better. The fact that this is shitty is so good. Wait, tank death? Mage death? Wait. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Mage Bean dead? Do they have a battle res? Both tanks died. I mean, yeah, this was one. Tanks got slapped in this phase. Oh, 2 more deaths? Onk Totem? Or actual Onk, sorry, that didn't exist yet. DK dead. Boss is at... Bro, they're only like halfway through this phase. This actually might be a wipe. They have 1 tank for both Elementiums now. That's fucking sketchy. That is so sketchy. Dude, I think they're gonna wipe. Their tanks are dead! Bro! Dude, fuck. Who's even in second place? Maybe they don't wipe? They're just kiting them in a circle. Bro, I mean, they're cooked, right? 3.9%, 3.8, 3.7, 3.6. Wait, maybe they can do this. This would be insanely clutch if they can kill, if they can still kill this. What? Okay, wrong platform, buddy. What? What is this technology? Bro, this guy's insane. Bubble, bubble, bubble. You have bubble up. Wait, they killed it. Oh my god. Bro, this guy's a beast. Dude, this guy's an absolute beast, dude. No way you pre-hated. Bro, I'm not pre-hating. What the fuck? Dude, that was sick. This guy's a beast. Did they win? GG. And I can't believe we're listening to this Optimus Prime thing. Okay. That was hype. Oh, they have their comms on. W. Wait, they just turned it back off. No, turn it back on.
Mr. Cataclysm right there, baby. Let's go, man. Wait, Nestor, what did you do? I didn't see, man. Okay, well, we got the...
Yeah, Nestor had some crazy fucking plays right there. Oh, they're screaming back to back, bro. They're so fucking happy.
Tentacle weapon. progress white.
Max, what an insane kill to have such dog shit music. Bro, I feel like Optimus Prime dubstep is so bad that it's good, though. You know? That actually was hilarious. Dude, I hope we kill a boss next tier to Optimus Prime dubstep. Dude, Atlas also loves Optimus Prime quotes. Random fact. Damn, they like unmuted their comms and then like remuted them right as soon as they started talking about the other guild wiping. Dude, they almost fucking threw that. I forgot how hard the last phase was to tank until I saw the tank die, but I remember it being extremely dangerous. Like, tank deaths in the last phase were very common. All right, they're just not going to play any comps. That's so sad. Wait, someone gifted 20 subs. W. I'm still the #1 sub gifter in here. Someone was probably listening to Optimus Prime dubstep when this raid was current. That's true. This video is 14 years old. So that is...
Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the
That is very possible.
I really fucking appreciate that.
Let's go. W subs.
Yeah, my heart was pounding, bro. That pound, though, holy.
Dude, hopping the platforms goes insane.
Dude, I thought we were gonna fucking wipe, bro. And then I just taunted them. Yoinked them. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Apollo train paid off. Thanks for the gifted,
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. All right, guys. I'm going to get ready for this hockey game, and I also got to warm up my body for my own hockey game later. Feel what I mean? You know what I mean? Get warmed up. I'm going to raid this guy, though. Why not? Because he just won. And then we will do the tier list, a little bit of it tomorrow morning, and probably the rest of it on Saturday. Yerd. All right, I'm out of here. See you later. Oh, ruh. Reptar. Wait, stop. Reptar, stop it. Okay, Reptar, talk to him.